Cultivating as an earthly immortal in the world of mages. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26, Bringing Back Specialties, Prospects for the Wizard Tower. There are two women who are upset because of Feng. Feng didn't know about this. After he activated the space gate, he soon returned to the underground laboratory of Cain Manor. As soon as he came back, Feng immediately checked the two specialties he brought back from the earthly world. When he came back for the first time, Feng brought a little bug to test whether the space gate could carry life when crossing two worlds. It turns out that it can. This time, it carries two souls without the protection of the body, and I don't know if there will be any impact. After a few minutes of inspection, the ghost in the black wood was not affected, and the residual soul of monk Hongye in the sandalwood rosary was not aggravated by the space change. Very good. Using the instruments in the laboratory, the two specialties were reprocessed. After ensuring that there was no problem, Feng washed his hands and walked out of the underground laboratory. After leaving the underground laboratory, Feng stared at the laboratory for a while, frowning slightly. This underground laboratory was transformed on the basis of a manor storage room after he took over Cain Manor. The experimental equipment was brought back by him from Trudeau continent, and it was quite complete and okay. But the protection of this underground laboratory is too poor. The magic of the wall is solidified, the protective magic circle of the whole laboratory, the magic guard, nothing. Only some bloodthirsty magic vines are planted to protect the door of the laboratory. After being used to the mentor's laboratory in the botanical garden, the gap between my own laboratory is too big. And in the future, I will definitely travel back and forth between the earthly fairy world and the wizard world frequently. This simple laboratory can't stop anything. If other wizards come, they can break through with a little trick. If others find out that I brought back special products from the other world, it will cause a lot of trouble. Feng, who has always been sincere, imagined such a scene, and his head was suddenly big. No, I want to build a wizard tower of my own. It doesn't matter if it is simpler and has fewer functions, but confidentiality must be done well. Feng looked at the door of the underground laboratory with a light in his eyes. Just as he was about to plan how to build his own wizard tower, a light footstep came from far away. Master Rest, you are out of the laboratory. You came out just in time. The cook has prepared dinner and is waiting for you. Annie, the housekeeper of the manor, greeted Feng when she saw him. Feng came back to his senses and saw that it was indeed time for dinner. He had been too stimulating today and drank a bottle of vitality potion. When he heard the news of dinner, he was still hungry. Feng nodded and went to the restaurant with Annie for dinner. The wizard tower is a symbol of a formal wizard. After breaking through the formal wizard, the wizard's lifespan will increase greatly. The most common first-level wizards can usually live to 300 to 500 years old. Some wizards who are ruthless to themselves can even live to 800 or 900 years old. The increase in lifespan means that wizards have more time to study and explore the world. In this process, wizards need a lot of experiments to verify their own path. Spell experiments, biological transformation, blood tracing, mechanical manufacturing, potion preparation, alchemy, enchantment. These experimental studies all require a safe venue. Otherwise, if the spells damage other people's things, you need to pay compensation. If the modified creatures run out and hurt people, you need to pay compensation. If the pollution caused by refining potions, manufacturing machinery, and alchemical enchantment also needs to be compensated. For the sake of your wallet and your life, it is extremely important to build a wizard tower that belongs entirely to you and have your own little world. In the next 5 or 6 days, Feng did not rush to explore the earthly world. Instead, he stayed in the laboratory and carefully made a plan to build a wizard tower. Although the wizard tower he was going to build was far inferior to the wizard tower of a formal wizard, it was also a complex and large project. The structure of the wizard tower, the planning of each functional area, the energy circuit in the tower, and the protective magic circle all needed to be designed by Feng. Fortunately, Feng had been in the botanical garden for so many years, and when he was trapped as a third-class wizard apprentice for many years, he also imagined the scene after he was promoted to a formal wizard. Combining some public versions of wizard tower design drawings in the botanical garden, he designed his own wizard tower. Lu Feng still has that design drawing. Now that he had it out, he didn't need to start from scratch. He only needed to make some modifications based on the original design. Remove some functions that only formal wizards could use, and combine a series of factors such as the local environment to simplify an apprentice version of the wizard tower that Lu Feng was now capable of building. After 6 days of hard work and red eyes, Lu Feng finally finished the design of the apprentice version of the wizard tower. In the basement, under the bright magic stone lamp, Lu Feng spread out his hands in front of the desk and said with relief, "Ah, finally done. If I hadn't learned a little more knowledge in the botanical garden, I would have no way to build a wizard tower during the apprenticeship stage." Lu Feng's voice echoed in the quiet underground laboratory. On the desk, in the sealed crystal bottle, the sandalwood rosary listened to Lu Feng's voice, his mind full of doubts, and the Buddha's light flashed slightly. "Monk Hujing, since you are awake, don't pretend to be asleep. The sealing spirit bottle isolates the inside and outside, and the spiritual energy of the heaven and earth inside is constant. If you stay in such a small place, it won't take long before the spiritual energy is exhausted and you will starve to death." Lu Feng keenly captured the changes in the crystal bottle, stared at the sandalwood rosary in the bottle, and said with a smile. In the past few days, although Lu Feng was busy designing the wizard tower, he did not forget the two specialties brought back from the earthly world. The ghost in the black wood is nothing special. Except for its weak strength, it is almost the same as the native resentful souls and evil spirits in the wizard world. If it absorbs enough negative spiritual energy or negative energy particles in the wizard world, it will definitely be as powerful as the resentful spirits that Lu Feng had encountered before. However, Lu Feng has no means to control the ghost for the time being, so he can only temporarily seal the ghost of the Blackwood. After he finishes dealing with the wizard tower, he will communicate with other wizards around Hongye town and the Tulip Principality, and maybe he can get the spell to control the ghost. In the botanical garden, Lu Feng has always used demonized plants as thugs. He has not really touched upon death and shadow spells. At that time, it would be a good choice to train the ghost into a qualified thug. As for another specialty, the residual soul of Monk Hujing, Lu Feng has always treated it with great care. The things that seal him are the best things in Lu Feng's hands. The only one is the soul-sealing crystal bottle. The whole bottle is made of low-grade magic-averse crystals, isolating the inside and the outside, and is specifically used to restrain ghosts and elemental creatures. One bottle can be sold for 300 magic stones in the botanical garden. Monk Hujing in the bottle trembled slightly when listening to Lu Feng's words, showing his restless heart. At the same time, he was also verifying whether Lu Feng's words were correct. After a while, a long sigh came from the rosary. "Donor, can we talk? The second update is here. Thanks to my elder brother Baguchu Shanja for pushing the chapter and helping me get started with my new book 2700 average for a good fantasy book. The next recommendation is a masterpiece. You can go and have a look. Chapter 27. The monk surrendered, and the apprentice was secretly delighted. Talk, of course we can talk. As long as you are willing to speak, everything is easy to talk about." Lu Feng thought to himself, very happy. However, there was no expression on Lu Feng's face. Now is the time when Monk Hujing in the magic-repelling crystal bottle needs to beg him, a complete seller market. Lu Feng must not be too eager to let Monk Hujing realize his urgent needs. This monk is cunning at first glance. If he takes the initiative in the negotiation, Lu Feng will be in trouble. Therefore, Lu Feng did not directly answer Monk Hujing's words that he wanted to talk. Instead, he leaned back on the desk and continued to improve the design of the apprentice version wizard tower, leaving Monk Hujing aside temporarily. Now the pressure is on Monk Hujing. Monk Hujing, his body was damaged, leaving only a remnant soul living in the rosary. Without eyes to see things, without ears to hear sounds, observing the world, speaking and communicating all rely on the remaining mental power in the remnant soul. If it weren't for the special cultivation method of Day Temple, Monk Hujing, who had lost his body, would probably be as confused as the ghost in the black wood, and could only act on instinct. But even with the effect of the secret method, Monk Hujing felt that his consciousness was weakening and his self was constantly fading. If he was in the outside world, he could still absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and slowly heal his injuries. But in the crystal bottle, Monk Hujing felt that it was difficult to breathe. There was not a single spiritual energy in the small bottle. Accustomed to the environment of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, suddenly entering such a soulless space, Monk Hujing felt like a fish on the shore, leaving the water for survival, hungry and thirsty, and could only jump weakly in the bottle. Such an environment reminded monk Hujing of the end of Dharma age mentioned by the masters of Day Temple. His master once said that the spiritual energy between heaven and earth is slowly drying up. One day, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth will no longer exist in the world, and magic will not be able to appear in the world. At that time, there will be no place for cultivators like them to stand in the world. If they cannot build a spiritual realm and survive with the Tao, cultivators are just mortals. A few people can capture him with their combined strength, and swords can also kill him. Now, monk Hujing feels that he has entered the Dharma ending age in this small space. It is extremely difficult to activate the sandalwood rosary. If he uses up all the Buddha power in the sandalwood rosary, he may be able to break the small crystal bottle. But monk Hujing did not forget Lu Feng, who was eyeing him outside the bottle. This little thief was thought to be just an ordinary cultivator with a strong body and abundant vitality in his flesh and blood. Who would have thought that he had such a skill? He could capture himself and lock him in this treasure that can isolate the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Monk Hujing admitted that he had made a mistake, but now there is a more critical thing. He found that relying only on the residual Buddha power in the sandalwood rosary, his severely injured residual soul could not hold on for long. In another 3 days, if monk Hujing still cannot absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, the remaining remnant soul will be completely shattered. The threat of death is imminent. Monk Hujing, after holding back for a long time, finally compromised. In the small crystal bottle, monk Hujing encouraged the spiritual power in the remnant soul and said to Lu Feng, "I still remember some knowledge and skills, and I am willing to exchange them for some spiritual energy of heaven and earth to survive for a few days." The body was completely destroyed, leaving only a remnant soul. The only things monk Hujing could show off were the skills and some knowledge in his consciousness. Sensing monk Hujing's spirit and understanding the meaning, Lu Feng put down the design in his hand at the right time. "You old monk, you finally can't hold on. It's worth it that I looked at the design absent-mindedly for most of the day, and finally wore you out." Lu Feng wanted to laugh in his heart, but his face was still cold. He looked at the monk Hujing in the crystal bottle and said calmly, "If you have anything valuable, tell me." Lu Feng did not promise anything, but handed the choice back to the monk Hujing and watched him play. In the crystal bottle, the monk Hujing was silent for a while. He seemed to be considering the wording. After a while, the monk Hujing said leisurely, "I have 1 Buddhist practice, 3 Buddhist spells, 2 side practice, 2 side spells, 1 Buddhist instrument sacrifice and 1 side." Not counting the Buddhist skills he majored in, the other skills, spells, and weapon refining methods alone have already made Lu Feng very happy. The wizard world is different from the earthly immortal world. Here, knowledge is the most precious, followed by the resources used for cultivation. The trendy subcontinent is a little barren, but the Trudeau continent is extremely rich. Among the assets Lu Feng brought back from the Trudeau continent, there are probably more than 6,000 magic stones, enough for him to practice for a while. In the earthly immortal world, judging from the few people Lu Feng has recently contacted, the cultivation resources are quite scarce. The strength of Mr. Chu is close to that of a formal wizard, and he is still worried about collecting some ghosts for his cultivation, and he will do anything to do it. If Lu Feng gets Mr. Chu's skills, it will be too easy to practice in the wizard world. Not to mention the Trudeau continent, even on the subcontinent, it will not take more than 3 or 4 months to find some deep mountains and old forests, and abandoned manors to explore and stroll around, and collect hundreds of qualified ghosts. Of course, the premise is that Lu Feng must be able to beat the old ghosts in these places. The way of earthly immortals, to cultivate and advance, requires a lot of resources, but the requirements for talent seem to be a little smaller than the meditation method in the wizard world. The gap in resources and the difference in cultivation methods allow Lu Feng to see hope for the future. Of course, Lu Feng is not qualified to consider these now. In the way of earthly immortals, he practiced the King Mu Chang Sheng Sutra and only opened some acupoints and practiced some magic power. For the time being, he has only touched the surface. The relevant knowledge and theoretical reserves are still too little and need to be supplemented. In front of him, there is monk Hujing, who is like a living dictionary. It is just right for Lu Feng to slowly enrich the database of the earthly immortal world through his mouth. Under Lu Feng's gaze, monk Hujing slowly talked about the methods he knew. Under the magic stone lamp, Lu Feng was like a student in school, listening carefully to monk Hujing's explanation. I didn't dare to write it down for fear of being read by others. With the mental power of a third-class wizard apprentice, Lu Feng memorized all the information that Monk Hujing had told him. First update. I am writing more. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28, Memorize the Method. The local wizard comes. 3 Buddhist spells, 1 Buddhist weapon sacrifice and refining method. 2 side door skills, 2 side door spells, and 1 side door magic weapon sacrifice and refining method. Monk Hujing also accepted his fate. He stayed in the crystal bottle and used his mental power to chatter to Lu Feng for a day, and finally finished telling all these methods. The huge and numerous information about the skills made Lu Feng's head swell. Although he had reached the level of a third-class wizard apprentice, his mental power was strong enough to remember everything he saw, but it was still a big burden for Lu Feng to remember so much content in a short time. Rubbing his temples, Lu Feng stared at the crystal bottle and said, "This is the first step. Monk, you seem to be quite cooperative, but next, I still need to verify the authenticity of these things. If you deliberately modify them and murder me, it is better for your remaining remnant soul to die." Monk Hujing understood Lu Feng's caution very well, and had no objection, and promised solemnly. "Donor, monks don't tell lies. It has come to this point. My life is in your hands. No matter how bad I am, I won't joke with my life." What was a matter of life and death for Monk Hujing was also a matter of life and death for Lu Feng. After listening to these methods, Lu Feng was already a little eager to try them out himself. If there were fatal mistakes, he would be playing with his life if he tried them. It was so important that Lu Feng would naturally not listen to Monk Hujing's one-sided words. He still needed to make bold assumptions and carefully verify them. After the verification was correct, Lu Feng would practice carefully. "Monk, stay in the bottle until I finish the verification." Lu Feng poured a little spiritual energy from heaven and earth into the crystal bottle to maintain the minimum survival of the monk's residual soul. Then, he began to study the methods he got from the monk. Just as he was about to start the research, the restriction outside the door of the underground laboratory was triggered. Lu Feng stood up with a frown. He placed the soul-sealing crystal bottle on the desk into a black box that could isolate spiritual power, and put it in his pocket to carry with him. Lu Feng walked to the door of the underground experiment and opened it. What caught his eye was the housekeeper Annie in a black robe. "What's the matter?" Lu Feng asked. When entering the underground laboratory, Lu Feng told Annie that if there was anything important, she could trigger the ban on the door to notify him. "Master Rest, the Baron Redleaf has found a way to collect the potion and fodder you asked him to collect a few days ago. A wizard from the Tulip Principality heard of your existence and said he could help. Just now, this wizard has come to Redleaf Castle." Listening to Annie's story, Lu Feng also reacted. It seems that it was because he returned to Redleaf Town and took action to deal with the affairs of his second brother's son that his wizard reputation spread and attracted the attention of wizards in the Tulip Principality. After all, in name, his second brother Andre's Redleaf Town is still the territory of the Tulip Principality. An unknown wizard suddenly appeared in the territory. It was not clear whether he was an enemy or a friend. The wizards behind the Tulip Principality naturally couldn't sit still. Lu Feng was a third-class wizard apprentice, which could be said to be a ceiling-level existence in the Trandy subcontinent. According to the title of the Hall family, Lu Feng should have gone to the capital of the Tulip Principality to visit the local wizards. But according to strength, the local wizards of the Principality should visit him first. In addition, Lu Feng has been busy shuttling between the two realms, practicing martial arts, and later designing wizard towers. So he didn't take this matter to heart. Unexpectedly, the local wizards of the Tulip Principality were the first to sit still. Taking advantage of Baron Andre's collection of potion materials, the local wizards took the initiative to visit. Of course, the most fundamental purpose is to find out Lu Feng's strength and purpose. How many wizards have arrived at Redleaf Castle? How do you feel about their strength? Lu Feng asked Annie on the side. And recalled and replied, 2 people came, a white-haired old man and a handsome young nobleman. The white-haired old man has a strong and cold aura. He should be a wizard. He is very powerful. I am no match for him. The young nobleman does not seem to be a wizard, but a great knight. He has a very strong aura. Anne followed Lu Feng for a few days and learned some knowledge, but not much. There is no rigorous identification method, so she can only judge based on her own perception. A wizard and a knight. Their strength is average. Lu Feng murmured, tidied himself up in the manner, washed himself, changed into a wizard robe, and took Anne to Redleaf Castle. In Redleaf Castle, the white-haired old wizard sat in the host and guest seat, nodding from time to time, drowsy. The young nobleman had a stern face and stood upright behind the white-haired wizard without saying a word. The Redleaf baron sat in the main seat, slowly drinking water and waiting quietly. Suddenly, the white-haired wizard woke up suddenly. In an instant, the sleepiness on his face disappeared, and two bright eyes, shining and shining, stared at the direction of the door. At this moment, Lu Feng, wearing a wizard robe, walked slowly into the hall with Annie wrapped in a black robe. Emerald tree pattern, 3 green leaves. The third-class wizard apprentice of the botanical garden. Seeing the wizard robe on Lu Feng, the white-haired wizard stood up from the chair in surprise. I thought that Hongye town was just lucky enough to take in an ordinary wizard apprentice, and spread a wave of reputation by relying on the wizard apprentice's power. The white-haired wizard never thought that in such a small place, he could meet such a big man. The white-haired wizard's name is Mateo Pons. When he was young, he also went to study abroad in Trudeau continent. Because of his innate affinity with shadow energy, he joined a black wizard organization, Whitebone Cemetery. The famous White Wizard Organization, Botanical Garden, on the Trudeau continent. When he was in the Whitebone Cemetery, he heard people talking about it almost every day. There were his teachers and his seniors. What shops selling whitebone materials were hit by the Botanical Garden, what resentful spirits that were released were cleared by the Botanical Garden, what seniors who went out to make money had their heads twisted off and kicked like balls by the people of the Botanical Garden. Anyway, in Matayu's memory, when it comes to the Botanical Garden, there's only a curse. Now, in this small Redleaf town, he actually met a third-class wizard apprentice from the Botanical Garden. The instinctive memory of his body made Matayu almost run away. He was just a second-class wizard apprentice, and he really couldn't beat him. However, the oncoming Lu Feng blocked Matayu's escape route and stopped Matayu's idea of running away. Since he couldn't escape, Matayu had to. The second update, it's a bit late today. Try to be earlier tomorrow. Come on. Chapter 29 The Sincerity of the Local Wizard. Since he couldn't escape, Matayu had to calm down, adjust his mentality, and face Lu Feng openly. Anyway, he came to Hongye town to do business, not to steal money or kill people. Face it bravely. Rester, this is from the Tulip Principality. Seeing Lu Feng coming, Baron Andre stood up and prepared to introduce Matayu, but he was interrupted by Matayu before he finished speaking. Matayu took the lead and came to Lu Feng, smiling and introducing himself gently. Hello, Your Excellency, I am the court wizard of the Tulip Principality, Matayu Pons, a second-class wizard apprentice, and I am a student of the Trudeau continent, Whitebone Cemetery. Facing the enthusiastic Matayu, Lu Feng also said politely. Sir Matayu, it's nice to meet you. I'm Rest Hall, a third-class wizard apprentice from the Botanical Garden. I've heard of you for a long time. Your name is well known. I've admired you for a long time. The white-haired Matayu was surprisingly good at speaking. After a few words, he got close to Lu Feng. After getting to know each other, Lu Feng didn't waste time and directly asked him the purpose of coming. Hearing Lu Feng's question, Matayu stopped flattering, sat back in his chair, and said with a serious expression, Sir Rest, this is what happened. After your deeds in Redleaf Town spread, the Grand Duke of the Tulip Principality specially sent me to Redleaf Town to meet you. Your Excellency is returning to the Trendy subcontinent for the first time, and I think there are many places that you are not familiar with. I can introduce and explain to you. If you have any resources or titles, you can also communicate with me. Or I can convey it on your behalf. The deeds that Matayu mentioned, of course, refer to the deeds of Lu Feng, who cleared the demons and monsters in Redleaf Town as soon as he came back. At that time, Lu Feng came back in a swagger and did not hide his intentions. Later, Lu Feng also asked his second brother Andre to help him collect herbal materials for making potions. It was only natural that his deeds spread. It was normal for people from the Tulip Principality to know his existence. Lu Feng listened and asked about some wizard groups behind the Tulip Principality. Matayu did not shy away from giving Lu Feng a detailed introduction. The huge tulip principality, after all, is just a group of wizard apprentices gathered together, a tool to plunder resources on the trendy subcontinent. By the way, it can also give the old and weak wizard apprentices a place to enjoy life and power. Now the tulip principality is controlled by the Lawrence family, a royal family, with 1 third-class wizard apprentice, 4 second-class wizard apprentices, and 13 first-class wizard apprentices. There are also some first and second-class wizard apprentices who maintain a cooperative relationship with the Lawrence family and settle in the tulip principality. Among these wizard apprentices, there are 15 first-class wizard apprentices and 3 second-class wizard apprentices. Mateo Pons is one of these second-class wizard apprentices. He is close to the Lawrence family, settled in the capital of the tulip principality, and was given a position as a court wizard. 1 third-class wizard apprentice, 7 second-class wizard apprentices, and 28 first-class wizard apprentices. Is this the strength of the tulip principality? Lu Feng thought to himself. With so few wizard apprentices, they can't even make up a small class in the botanical garden. It's really strange that they can rule a land the size of a principality in the secondary continent. Matej said that the third-class wizard apprentice of the Lawrence family is already 120 years old, and half of his body has already been buried in the ground. Lu Feng estimated that if he was a little more ruthless, he would kill the third-class wizard apprentice of the Lawrence family. He could change the dynasty and rule the tulip principality himself. After thinking about it, Lu Feng temporarily suppressed this idea in his heart. Except for his second brother and the housekeeper Annie, Lu Feng didn't have any fighting power that he could show. Taking a big step to rule a principality is not good, it is easy to get into trouble. What's more, Lu Feng has not yet digested the methods and knowledge that he just took out from Monk Hujing. He has been a bit busy recently and has no time to be distracted. After listening to Matayu's introduction, Lu Feng thought for a while and said, I am willing to join the tulip principality, become a member of the principality, and maintain a cooperative relationship with the Lawrence family. I came back to the secondary continent just because I was tired of the disputes on the Trudeau continent. I want to go back to my hometown to retire peacefully and don't want to worry about other troubles. Matayu's eyes lit up when he heard Lu Feng's statement. His attitude became better, and the smile on his face was a little flattering. Rest's attitude made Matayu feel relieved. Before coming, he didn't know that Rest was a third-class apprentice. You know, a third-class apprentice has the strength to subvert the rule of the tulip principality. Fortunately, Rest did not show any hostility. No matter what happens in the future, his trip now is fine, which can be regarded as a great achievement for the Lawrence family. Lu Feng didn't know what Matai was thinking. After he made his attitude clear, he asked Matai about collecting herbal materials. The Lawrence family has been entrenched here for many years and is an experienced local wizard family. To purchase wizard-related material resources, it is better to find local snakes like them, with wide channels and fast speed. The second brother Andre, after all, is still mixed in the circle of ordinary people and nobles. There is still a little distance from the wizard level. He doesn't understand many things. It is not convenient to acquire these resources. Speaking of this, Matai was even happier. After reading the purchase list, Matai immediately patted his chest and said that he was willing to help Lu Feng run errands to purchase various materials. The resources of the secondary continent are relatively scarce, and herbs are everywhere on the Trudeau continent. Here, you have to collect them everywhere. To refine vitality potions, a total of 13 materials are needed. Only 3 are produced locally in the Tulip Principality, and 10 of them need to be collected from surrounding countries. After listening to Matayu's explanation, Lu Feng was speechless. It was such a waste of time to go to several countries for such a small amount of materials. Lu Feng's determination to build a wizard tower was strengthened. When the wizard tower is built, he must build a secret garden in the tower to grow herbs and materials. Lu Feng nodded and agreed to Matayu's idea of helping to run errands. He knew what Matai was thinking. Isn't it just to get some money from it? As long as he does his duty, Lu Feng is also happy to have someone run errands for him, and that little money is his errand fee. After talking about the purchase of herbs, Lu Feng remembered that Matai was a member of the Whitebone Cemetery. Most of the members of the Whitebone Cemetery are wizards with innate shadow affinity and darkness affinity, and their specialization direction is also the undead system and shadow system. They are good at controlling undead creations and driving ghosts. So Lu Feng asked Matai if he had any spells to control ghosts and undead. After listening to Lu Feng's request, Matayu straightened his hunchback and said proudly, "Controlling the undead, driving ghosts. This is the specialty of our Whitebone Cemetery, just like the botanical garden controls plants. I have a level 0 spell, Mark of the Undead, which can drive ordinary undead creatures and ghosts." Chapter 1, Continue typing. Chapter 30 Mark of the Undead, Salvage Elephant Breathing Technique. Mark of the Dead is a level 0 spell, and it is also the first spell that every member of the Bone Cemetery must learn. Condensing a special mental mark, it is injected into the soul of the dead or the ghost. After the mark is successfully integrated, it can enslave and control the dead and the ghost. The power of the mark is affected by the mental power. The stronger the mental power, the greater the difference in mental power between the two sides, and the better the control effect of the Mark of the Dead. May Tiayu explained the effect of the Mark of the Dead to Lu Feng attentively. After listening to it, Lu Feng felt that this level 0 spell was very suitable for him. The ghost, and the residual soul of Monk Hujing, may be able to solve the trouble with this spell. The ghost is actually not a big deal. The most important thing is the residual soul of Monk Hujing. There are too many variables. If Lu Feng is not in control, he always feels uneasy. What if one day, Monk Hujing sneaks away when he is not paying attention? In the world of earthly immortals, it is not bad. It is just letting the tiger go back to the mountain. At most, there is one more enemy. If Monk Hujing ran away in the wizard world, he would be like a dragon entering the sea, soaring thousands of miles. I wonder how many magic stones are needed for this memory crystal of a level 0 spell. Lu Feng asked. Your Excellency can give me the job of purchasing herbs and materials. How dare I ask for magic stones for a mere memory crystal of a level 0 spell? Just consider it as a gift from my younger brother to your Excellency. Matayu took out a memory crystal from his pocket and handed it to Lu Feng, resolutely refusing to accept Lu Feng's magic stones. Lu Feng looked at Matayu meaningfully, and Matayu also smiled. It seems that this old wizard wants to cooperate with him. This old wizard is still a bit courageous. Between the Lawrence family, which is about to decline, and the young-looking Lu Feng, he chose him. When Lu Feng first returned to Hongye town, his team was not yet complete, but his identity and strength were both top-notch. When the third-class wizard apprentice of the Lawrence family grows old, the entire Tulip Principality will still belong to this person in front of him. Matai was very insightful and courageous, so Lu Feng was too lazy to point out his little thoughts. What wizards pursue is equal exchange. Since Matayu is willing to pay, Lu Feng doesn't mind giving him some rewards. After receiving the memory crystal, Lu Feng continued to chat with Matayu and learn about some of the customs and practices of this land. In the evening, Lu Feng invited Matayu to have a banquet in Hongye Castle and treated him well. Matayu took the noble youth to stay in Hongye town for one night, and rode on the pack animals and left quickly the next morning. After sending Matayu away, Lu Feng explained some things about the Tulip Principality to his second brother Andre. Through Matayu's way, Lu Feng is now one of the most powerful forces in the Tulip Principality. As long as the rules of the Principality are followed, Hongye town can develop in any way it wants in the future. With Lu Feng backing Andre, even the Grand Duke of the Principality has to give in to the Red Leaf Baron. The second brother Andre was in a trance after listening to it. He managed Hongye town for his whole life, and he put in so much effort and sweat day and night to develop Hongye town to its current level. But all these efforts seemed to be no match for the title of his third brother. Wizard. It's so powerful. What would it be like if I became a wizard? Coming back to his senses from his trance, Andre looked at his younger brother's young face close at hand, and suddenly a bold idea came to his mind. Rester, do you think it's possible for me to become a wizard? Andre supported his chin, paused again and again, and then said a word. Listening to his second brother's words, Lu Feng looked at his second brother intently and said, Second brother, I remember when you were a teenager, there was also a wizard who tested your qualifications. At that time, you didn't detect the wizard qualifications, and the crystal ball for testing qualifications didn't seem to light up. Second brother Andre didn't have the talent of a wizard, otherwise he would have gone abroad to study and learn. After listening to Rest's words, the second brother Andre recalled with a gloomy look the scene when he entered the wizard's hut and touched the crystal ball to test his qualifications. Especially after he failed to detect the wizard's qualifications, the wizard looked at him with disdain like garbage, which he would never forget. Yes. I thought too much? If I had talent, I would have been happy long ago. and I would not have to guard this small town for the rest of my life, Andre said sadly. Seeing the disappointment of the second brother, Lu Feng thought of the King Mu Chang Sheng Sutra and the 2 side door exercises he got from the residual soul of monk Hujing. If the second brother learns these exercises, maybe he can practice magic power and experience the ability of a wizard or apprentice. However, the imprint of the earthly world on these exercises is too strong, and Lu Feng dare not release them now. It still needs to be studied and localized so that people in the wizard world can't see the difference. Brother, I'm afraid you have no hope of becoming a wizard, but I have an interesting breathing method here. You can learn it and supplement your night training. Hearing this, Andre was disappointed at first, but then his eyes lit up and he asked quickly, breathing method, what interesting breathing method? Annie, come with us and show it to my second brother later. Lu Feng smiled and indicated that there were people nearby, and took his second brother to find a quiet place in the castle where no one was. At Lu Feng's signal, Annie showed Andre a complete set of training boxing techniques of the elephant armor skill in the open space. Annie has been practicing the elephant armor skill for a few days. After the blood transformation, her body is stronger than that of ordinary people, and with sufficient nutrition, Annie's elephant armor skill has improved rapidly, and she has already trained her internal strength, or the life seed of the night. At this time, when she performed it, her fists and feet were windy, fierce and powerful, like a tall and strong elephant trampling the earth, waving her nose and roaring. What a powerful breathing method. I feel like Annie can kill me with one punch. Andre felt a toothache when he saw the mighty Annie. These days, Annie, as the housekeeper of Cane Manor, often came into contact with him. Listening to the soft voice, although he did not see the figure under the black robe, Andre knew that Annie was a young girl. To be entrusted with an important task by the wizard's brother, she must have some ability. But he never expected that Annie, hidden under the black robe, was such a mighty knight. After being shocked, Andre's eyes were full of fire. He became more interested in the breathing method that Lu Feng talked about. He hurriedly urged Lu Feng and said, brother, teach me quickly. Lu Feng nodded, motioned Annie to stop, and said, Annie, you will teach the savage elephant breathing method to my second brother. The most important meditation diagram, you can give it to him directly. You have practiced for so many days, you should have memorized it. Okay, master. Annie replied, took out a piece of parchment with a savage elephant pattern from the pocket of her black robe, handed it to Andre, and then taught the extremely excited Andre the training method and breathing secrets of the savage elephant breathing method. Yes, the elephant armor skill that Lu Feng taught Annie had already been localized for him. Elephant armor skill savage elephant breathing method. Second update, finally a little early today. Happy. Chapter 31 Knights and Warriors, Enslaving Ghosts. Knights in the Wizard World. Originated from the wizard's study of the flesh and blood of ordinary people. Biological transformation, blood research and other series of witchcraft that transform their own bodies and gain powerful strength. Before confirming success, wizards need a large number of test subjects to assist in research. This process is bloody and cruel. Ordinary people are too weak and often cannot withstand the pain and the conflict between the transformed parts and the body, and are very likely to die. After all, other extraordinary races are somewhat different from humans, and the experimental data are different. In order to make ordinary people more suitable experimental consumables, a wizard who studies life observed extraordinary creatures and combined with wizard meditation methods to develop a night breathing method that can improve physical fitness. The training requirements of the night breathing method are very low. As long as sufficient food is provided and exercise methods are combined, people with healthy hands and feet and normal brains can practice it. Becoming a knight requires a little talent, but everyone can still achieve physical fitness. However, in the secondary continent, the night breathing method has become a tool for nobles in various kingdoms on the continent to rule ordinary people. In a kingdom civilization similar to the Middle Ages, extraordinary power, knowledge monopoly, and wealth plunder made the rule of the aristocracy unbreakable, and it became a delusion for ordinary people to turn over. Apart from the background of the night breathing method, night breathing is generally divided into two parts. One is the breathing method, and the other is the moves to temper the body. It is almost the same as the elephant armor skill of the earthly immortal world. However, the elephant armor skill that Lu Feng had tortured out of Shi Jingchen at the beginning contained boxing and breathing formulas, as well as a matching visualization map. When Lu Feng was bored in a botanical garden, He also practiced the night breathing method. In the botanical garden, this kind of low-end flesh and blood strengthening knowledge is free to read in the library. From the breathing method that ordinary people start with, to the key points of practicing to the extreme of knights and becoming a great knight, Lu Feng has seen a lot and is extremely clear. After getting the elephant armor skill from Shi Jingzhen, Lu Feng also studied it. The breathing methods and physical training moves of the two are almost the same. The only difference is that the elephant armor skill of the earthly immortal world requires a matching visualization map when practicing. When practicing the elephant armor skill, one needs to visualize a giant elephant. The clearer the visualization, the more powerful the spirit, and the higher the efficiency of practice. It is a little similar to the wizard's meditation method. However, the wizard's meditation method is to meditate on runes containing extraordinary power. Meditation alone can attract energy particles between heaven and earth to strengthen the spirit and body. This step has never been done in the way of knights. Shi Jingzhen told Lu Feng the importance of the giant elephant visualization picture. But Shi Jingzhen's ability is low. When he practiced himself, he could visualize the giant elephant, but he didn't have the ability to draw it. Lu Feng returned to the wizard world and studied the elephant armor skill. He soon found a substitute for the giant elephant visualization picture. He found a picture of a wild elephant and the extraordinary creatures in the botanical garden, and replaced the giant elephant visualization picture. The wild elephant is a very common extraordinary creature in the wizard world. It lives in the extremely cold wilderness area in the north. When it grows up, its strong body can rival the strength of a formal wizard. After replacing the giant elephant visualization diagram with the wild elephant, Lu Feng found that the effect of the elephant armor technique had not decreased, so he changed it to the wild elephant breathing method and taught it to Annie, asking her to practice it first and see the result. Practice has proved that the wild elephant breathing method has been transformed very successfully. Not only has its power and effectiveness not weakened, but it is also a few points stronger than before. From Shi Jingzhen's description, the giant elephant is just an ordinary creature in the world of earthly immortals, far inferior to the wild elephant in the wizard world, so it is natural that there is such a difference. After listening to Annie's explanation and guidance, Andre first practiced boxing and breathing methods to become proficient in these two. After these two are proficient, he will combine them with the wild elephant meditation diagram to further practice. Looking at his second brother who is like a playful child after getting the wild elephant breathing method, Lu Feng smiled lightly. Practice more. If you can become a great knight and live longer, it will be easier to practice concurrently after the King Mu Chang Sheng Sutra is localized. Lu Feng has high hopes for his second brother. Leaving Annie to teach his second brother the wild elephant breathing method, Lu Feng did not stay in Hongye Castle and returned to Cane Manor. As soon as he came back, he could not wait to get into the underground laboratory. After putting away the black box that imprisoned Monk Hujing, Lu Feng took out a memory crystal that Matayu had given him. His mental power probed into it, and a series of words and rune diagrams appeared in Lu Feng's mind, telling him how to construct the spell model of the level 0 spell, Mark of the Dead. Read carefully and ponder carefully. Lu Feng is a senior wizard apprentice, and casting level 0 spells has long become his instinct. Although Mark of the Dead is a new spell he encountered, Lu Feng did not feel the difficulty. An hour later, Lu Feng put down the memory crystal in his hand, sat in meditation, and his consciousness entered the spiritual space. According to the records of the crystal, he used mental power as a pen to outline the spell model of Mark of the Dead. Stroke by stroke, carefully outlined. 10 minutes later, the first Mark of the Dead appeared in Lu Feng's spiritual space. Lu Feng opened his eyes with joy, infused his mental power, and introduced dark energy. After a few breaths, a complex black rune appeared in Lu Feng's hand. Done. Next is the test. Lu Feng took the black wood that held the ghost from the desk and removed the magic seal on it. Sensing the abundant spiritual energy of the outside world, the ghost in the black wood followed its instinct to drill out of the black wood. Before it could enjoy the nourishment of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, a black rune hit its body head-on. The ghost was caught off guard and sensed a threatening breath from the black rune and wanted to resist. But its strength was far different from Lu Feng's. Lu Feng did not feel the power to resist. The mark of the undead had already drilled into the body of the ghost and merged into its soul. Suddenly, Lu Feng felt a little more burden on his mind, and at the same time, he had a little more connection with the ghost in front of him. Go, fly one. Lu Feng controlled the ghost through the mark of the undead. The ghost also followed Lu Feng's instructions very obediently, floating up and flying to the designated location. Done. However, this ghost is too weak. It can only kill an ordinary person at most. If it encounters a knight or a warrior from the world of earthly immortals, I'm afraid it won't even be able to get close. Lu Feng shook his head and asked the ghost to find a corner with rich spiritual energy to squat in the experiment and slowly recover its strength. When I have time, I will take it to the Hongye town cemetery for a few rounds. The ghost's strength is expected to recover faster. However, Lu Feng doesn't have time now. He has important things to do. Lu Feng condensed a black mark of the undead again, and his eyes fell on the black box on the desk. Good luck. More updates today. Please support me with comments, recommendations, monthly tickets, etc. Chapter 32, The monk finally leaves the Shinto spirit realm. The black box was opened, and the light of the magic stone lamp shone into the soul-sealing crystal bottle. Seeing the light again, Monk Hujing reacted coldly. It should be Lu Feng who wanted to ask him a question. Monk Hujing was ready, but the next moment, the crystal bottle he was in was suddenly picked up by a pair of hands. With a pop sound, the stopper of the crystal bottle was removed by Lu Feng. When his spirit reached out of the crystal bottle, Monk Hujing saw the world with extremely rich spiritual energy again. Once again, Monk Hujing was full of doubts. This person is really strange. Where did such a spiritual realm with rich spiritual energy come from? The spiritual energy of the spiritual realm, cultivated by his master in Day Temple, was not as good as this one. It was really strange. When Monk Hujing was thinking about it, the body of the crystal bottle tilted, and the sandalwood rosary where the monk lived rolled down the wall of the bottle and was pressed on the desk by a hand. Monk Hujing looked back and saw a black mark of the dead, composed of a cold breath approaching. What do you want to do? Did you promise to spare my life if I told you the skills and methods? Feeling the breath on the mark of the dead, the residual soul of Monk Hujing felt something was wrong and shouted tremblingly. Lu Feng turned a deaf ear to Monk Hujing's shouting, staring coldly at the sandalwood rosary, and his powerful mental power sealed all the places on the table. The ghost that had just been subdued also floated beside him, staring at Monk Hujing. Never give him the slightest chance to escape. I advise you not to resist, just accept this mark honestly, and when I use it to verify the truth of what you said before, I will give you a chance to live. Lu Feng persuaded, intending to disintegrate Monk Hujing's resistance with words. After all, the sandalwood rosary contains a Buddhist power. If Monk Hujing resists, the fragile mark of the dead may not be able to easily take down the residual soul of the monk. But things can't always go smoothly. Monk Hujing in the sandalwood rosary felt that what Lu Feng said was like the devil's words that led him to fall, and he couldn't believe it. What's more, this man had never made any promises in front of him, and he was probably a gloomy person. If he really listened to him and accepted this strange mark, he, a monk, might not have the chance to resist in his life. There are thousands of ways to control and enslave other people's souls in the world, and Monk Hujing alone has mastered several. Monk Hujing knows the consequences of having his soul enslaved by others, and he didn't teach these methods to Lu Feng before. After accepting the mark, if it is verified, Monk Hujing knows that he will definitely not have a good ending. After Lu Feng spoke, Monk Hujing in the sandalwood rosary did not say a word, but just huddled in the beads and chanted the scriptures obediently. Is this monk planning to resist to the end? Lu Feng's heart trembled, thinking that it was not good. The mark of the dead floating beside the rosary shot at the rosary without hesitation, aiming to take down Monk Hujing. But the next moment, a layer of golden Buddha light floated on the sandalwood rosary, stubbornly resisting the dark mark of the dead. The Buddha light was hot, and the mark of the dead was cold. Naturally restrained. Since the function of the mark of the dead was not to attack, it was weak. The Buddha light in the sandalwood rosary purified the black mark of the dead in a short time. At the same time, the Buddha light on the rosary also faded a little. Resisted death? It seems that you have told a lot of lies. Lu Feng stared at the sandalwood rosary, his fingers pressed the beads tightly, and his mental power enveloped the surroundings, dispersing the spiritual energy of the heaven and earth near the rosary, not giving Monk Hujing the opportunity to absorb the spiritual energy and restore the Buddha's power. At the same time, the dead species of the energy-absorbing ancient tree also flew to the sandalwood rosary under Lu Feng's control, emitting a faint green light, absorbing the Buddha's power in the sandalwood rosary. The energy-absorbing ancient tree was originally a big eater that swallowed up the energy of heaven and earth. It would not refuse any type of energy. The vitality of the dead seed of the energy-absorbing ancient tree cultivated by Lu Feng through practicing the Qingmu Changsheng Sutra gradually increased, and gradually showed a trace of the power of the energy-absorbing ancient tree. Although it was insignificant, it was equally effective against the equally weak and pitiful monk Hujing. Lu Feng did not dare to use other level 0 spells. He was afraid that if he did not control the power of his spells well, he would accidentally crush all the weak Buddha power in the sandalwood rosary, causing monk Hujing to lose his sustenance and directly scatter his soul. On one side was the swallowing of the dead seed, and on the other side was the erosion of the undead mark, attacking from both sides. Monk Hujing in the sandalwood rosary could still hold out at first, but as time went on, the Buddha light on the sandalwood rosary became dimmer. A few minutes later, the Buddha light, which was almost invisible, shattered with a bang, and a black undead mark shot into the sandalwood rosary at a rapid speed. The Buddha's light was exhausted, and the remnant soul of monk Hujing was on the verge of breaking. At this time, the monk had lost consciousness and self. The mark of the dead entered the sandalwood rosary, and almost no resistance was encountered, and it was smoothly integrated into a weak consciousness. It's a pity for the monk. You resisted to the end, and you were the only one who got hurt. Lu Feng sighed and carefully sensed the remnant soul of monk Hujing controlled by the mark of the dead. No, to be precise, when monk Hujing's consciousness and self had resisted Lu Feng's control, he died as the Buddha's light was exhausted. Now in the rosary, there is a remnant of the soul like a vegetative person. The strength is weaker than that of another ghost. Through the mark of the dead, Lu Feng looked through the memories left in the weak consciousness, and there were only a lot of chaotic pictures and sounds left. This monk has a lot of experience. I hope I can find some useful information from his memory. Hey, what is this? Suddenly, Lu Feng, who was looking through the memory of the weak consciousness, suddenly saw an interesting memory fragment. On a cliff near a big river, a skinny old monk sat opposite monk Hujing. Monk Hujing asked the old monk with a sad face, "Master, I have been practicing to open up all my orifices for 3 years. My Buddha power and my physical body have reached the limit. Is there any way to help me overcome that difficulty?" Hearing his disciple's distress, the old monk opened his eyes. His eyes were shining, without a trace of turbidity. Under the cliff, the river water slapped the table, raising waves of water vapor, drifting behind the old monk in the wind, faintly reflecting a golden and magnificent Buddhist Pure Land with Buddhist sounds lingering. Monk Hujing looked at the spiritual scene shown by his master, with envy and obsession on his face, and indulged in it. Seeing the old monk's face full of sorrow, he heard the old monk's hoarse voice, "Disciple, do you know why I gave you the word Jing in your Dharma name? Hujing, Hujing, I hope you can use wisdom to see through the obsession in your heart, and calm your heart and calm the waves of the sea. Unfortunately, you can't see through this point." Listening to the master's muttering, Hujing lowered his head in shame. "Forget it, since you can't see through it, I will show you a clear way. More than 1,000 kilometers south of here, there is a Shinto spiritual realm that will be born soon. You go there and maybe you can encounter an opportunity to cultivate into a spiritual realm." After saying that, the old monk closed his eyes. "Thank you, Master." After getting the master's guidance, monk Hujing was very happy. He bowed to the master and set off south the next day. First update. Keep typing. Chapter 33 Black-Hearted Monk. I heard that the location of Day Temple is more than 1,000 kilometers away from Dongxi City. No wonder monk Hujing appeared in Dongxi City a few days ago. After reading this memory of monk Hujing, Lu Feng seemed to have some enlightenment. At the same time, he also became more concerned about the opportunity that monk Hujing's master mentioned, which could allow Hujing to cultivate into a spiritual realm. Shinto spiritual realm. From monk Hujing's memory, Lu Feng learned some information. The world of earthly immortals once coexisted with gods and immortals, but later with the changes in the world, Shinto became more and more difficult. Now, in the huge Daxun dynasty, there are not many gods who are still showing their holiness. Gods and immortals seem to have become legends in the world. There is a Shinto spiritual realm in the world, and I don't know what kind of scene it is and what kind of opportunity it has. Lu Feng thought about it and temporarily suppressed his greed. In monk Hujing's memory, there is also the process of him looking for the Shinto spiritual realm in Dongxi City. He searched many places nearby, but he didn't know whether it was the wrong time or the opportunity was not enough, and he never found the Shinto spiritual realm mentioned by his master. If Lu Feng went to the earthly immortal world to search again, he would probably not be much better than monk Hujing. He had only practiced the King Mu Chang Shang Sutra for a short time, and there was still a long way to go before reaching the spiritual realm. It was better to concentrate on practicing, accumulate magic power, and first refine all the orifices. After flipping through this memory, Lu Feng slowly sorted out and digested monk Hujing's memory. It might be because monk Hujing's consciousness had disappeared, the memory Lu Feng saw was incomplete and often lost. Lu Feng wanted to find the Buddhist skills that monk Hujing mainly practiced, but as soon as he flipped through that memory, a special band was automatically triggered, and the memory fragment was directly melted by a Buddha's light, leaving nothing behind. Lu Feng felt sorry for it. What a good skill, but it was a pity that he could not see it. After looking through the skills and spells that monk Hujing passed on to him, Lu Feng was so angry that he cursed. What a black-hearted monk. The skills passed to him, the two side skills, were all for others. One is the blood evil key, which is said to be able to cultivate a strong blood mixed with evil spirits, transform into a human-shaped blood furnace, and scare away gods and ghosts. But in fact, it is to train the flesh into the best raw material for refining blood corpses. Another is the Taiyin body washing method, which is said to absorb the Taiyin moonlight to cleanse the body until it is pure yin and without dirt. But such a pure yin body is also the best material for refining zombies. The two side door spells are fine, but they are quite useless. One is the 5 Immortals wealth transporting technique, which can subdue the 5 Immortals fox, yellow, white, willow and gray as pets to help steal and transport wealth. One is the 5 key yin thunder, which can use the 5 key in the chest to turn into thunder and bombard the enemy, but it will damage the key of the 5 internal organs when used. If used too much, it will damage the organs and affect lifespan. The side door refining method is a Zuan soul capturing knife sacrifice and refining method, which requires collecting the yin evil key and the yin ghosts between heaven and earth and practicing them into the sword. When using it, evil spirits follow the knife, and the yin key entangles it, which can confuse the enemy's mind. However, it takes a long time, and after each use, it is necessary to actively inject yin shaki to charge. The other 3 Buddhist spells are the small Vajra mantra, the small Prajna mantra, and the demon subduing Zen sound. It is said that they all need to be used in conjunction with Buddhist exercises. If used with other magic powers, the power will be greatly reduced. As for the last method of refining Buddhist tools, it is a method of refining called light mantra, which can refine the small light mantra of Buddhism on the tools, so that the practiced objects can release light and dispel evil spirits. Monk Hujing also kept these things in mind when he taught them. This so-called method of refining Buddhist tools is just an ordinary blessing method that every Buddhist practitioner knows. Various Buddhist mantras, such as the small Vajra mantra and the small Prajna mantra mentioned above, can be blessed on the tools according to this method and play a role. This monk is really evil-minded. He spoke eloquently and beautifully when he was teaching, but in fact, it was all mixed with tricks. I know too little about the world of earthly immortals. Monk Hujing must have guessed something, so he used these methods to test and fool me. Lu Feng recalled it at this moment, and he was still a little scared. Lu Feng would definitely test the correctness of the methods he got from Monk Hujing. However, these methods were correct from the moment they were created and could be practiced. Lu Feng, who knew little about the world of earthly immortals, fell into the monk's trap once he practiced. After practicing for a long time, it is possible that Monk Hujing will really find an opportunity to turn the tables and take down Lu Feng. Unfortunately, Monk Hujing did not expect it. Lu Feng is not only a newcomer to the world of earthly immortals who has just practiced magic power, but also a senior wizard apprentice with a world as his backing. No wonder this monk would rather die than surrender. It turns out that surrender is death, suicide is also death, and self-destruction can be easier. Haha. Lu Feng was furious, and he wanted to completely destroy the residual soul in the sandalwood rosary. But after thinking about it, he didn't do it after all. He was ready to keep the residual soul and use it as a thug like the ghost. A monk who has practiced successfully has become a ghost. He has a good foundation. If he is trained, his strength should be stronger. Lu Feng put the rosary containing the residual soul close to his body and walked out of the underground laboratory. It was getting dark. Practicing the Mark of the Dead, dealing with 2 ghosts, and reading the memory of Monk Hujing wasted a lot of time. However, Lu Feng dealt with the hidden danger of Monk Hujing. Although there were some losses, he was relieved a lot. After all, the monk is a powerful character with insight and background, and he can fight back and forth with Mr. Chu, who is about to achieve the spiritual realm. If he escapes from his hands and enters the wizard world, there will be endless troubles. After walking a few steps out of the laboratory, Lu Feng ran into Annie, who was coming towards him. "Master, under my instruction, the Baron has memorized the savage elephant breathing method and can practice it on his own." Upon seeing Lu Feng, Annie quickly walked up to Lu Feng and reported to him. "Okay, I'm relieved that my second brother has started practicing the savage elephant breathing method. You should teach him more about the things he doesn't know," Lu Feng urged. Sensing Annie's body that was obviously stronger than before, Lu Feng paused and asked again, "How far have you practiced the savage elephant breathing method now? Do you feel like you have broken through the great night realm and absorbed energy particles? Practicing the breathing method will train the body to the extreme. After the flesh is trained to the extreme, the seed of life will naturally be born. The seed of life does not exist in reality, but is just a special energy that exists in the flesh. In the wizard world, it is called the seed of life by the knight, and in the earthly immortal world, it is called internal force by the warrior, which is essentially the same. The knight has the seed of life, and continues to practice, using the seed of life to temper the body and improve the level of life. When this stage is cultivated to the extreme, one will be able to sense the energy particles between heaven and earth, absorb external energy to strengthen the body, and then become a great knight. In the world of earthly immortals, such warriors also have a nice name, called innate warriors. Hearing the young master's concern, Annie thought about it seriously and replied, "I'm sorry, young master, I practiced the savage elephant breathing method very hard, but I still haven't reached the level you mentioned. However, when I use the black flame spell, I can feel the energy particles between heaven and earth." Second update. I'm not in a good state today. I feel that these 2 chapters are written very poorly. Please just read them. If you have any ideas, please let me know. Can I also copy the chapter reviews? I'm so scared if you don't speak. Chapter 34, Beastly Nature, Red-backed Yin Fire Snake. Moreover, when I was practicing the savage elephant breathing method, I felt that the life seeds I practiced every day were constantly being consumed and integrated into my body. It was very strange. I wondered what was going on. When the young master rarely asked about her practice, Annie took the opportunity to ask Lu Feng about her own doubts during practice. Listening to Annie's description, Lu Feng suspected that the blood experiment conducted by the Black Wizard on Annie had worked. I don't know how the Black Wizard who harmed Annie did it. He was obviously just an apprentice, but he completed the blood experiment, which was always very difficult. The blood of the extraordinary creature was implanted into Annie's body, and Annie gained a spell ability, Black Flame. Although the side effect of the experiment made Annie grow an ugly black snake scale, from a macro perspective, the experiment of the Black Wizard apprentice was at least successful on Annie. Whether it was scientific research strength, luck, or Annie's talent, Lu Feng didn't know. "Let's go to my laboratory and I'll check it for you." In order to better understand and solve Annie's doubts, Lu Feng took Annie back to the underground laboratory. Under the light of the magic stone, Annie took off the black robe that covered her figure. From head to toe, every part of her skin was covered with the black snake scales. These days, Annie practiced the savage elephant breathing method, and with the abundant food in the manor, her slender body also grew some flesh and became plump. Lu Feng took over and pinched the muscles and bones on Annie's arm, and used his mental power to carefully check Annie's growth and development. The strange big hand kneaded her arm, making Annie's face slightly red, but it was covered by the black snake scales, so Lu Feng didn't notice it. Looking at Master Rest, who was close at hand, he had a handsome face and a strong body, without a trace of old age. If it weren't for the frequent chats with Baron Andre and knowing some of Lu Feng's past, Annie would have doubted her eyes. Is this really an old man in his 50s? Is this also the power of a wizard? If I can get the favor of the young master, age may not be a problem for wizards. Smelling Lu Feng's breath, Annie couldn't help but imagine, and her eyes couldn't help but water. Suddenly, ah! Annie screamed in pain. Then, Annie heard Lu Feng's words of rebuke. "Don't get horny. Control your emotions." Lu Feng's voice made Annie tremble all over, and she shivered violently. She looked at Lu Feng's handsome face and body again, and her eyes were still a little evasive, but no longer as hot as before. "Just touching your hand will make you horny. It seems that there is something wrong with your blood experiment. It seems that the fit is too good, and the blood is too deeply integrated. It has become a bit of a guest taking the initiative." Lu Feng pinched 2 pieces of black snake scales with blood on the tail and came to the experimental table. He put the scales into an instrument similar to a microscope and injected mental power. The pattern shape on the black scales suddenly turned into light and shadow and appeared in front of Lu Feng. "Annie, help me get the Supernatural Creatures Illustrated Book 6 on the bookshelf." After Lu Feng's reminder, Annie came to her senses and walked to the bookshelf against the wall. He scanned the heavy books and found the Supernatural Creatures Illustrated Book 6 that Lu Feng wanted. He took the book, came to the experimental table, and handed it to the young master. Seeing the light and shadow floating in the air, Annie's eyes flashed with curiosity. It was the first time she saw her scales in such detail. Lu Feng took the book and kept looking for it by comparing the pattern and light of the snake scales. A few minutes later, Lu Feng spread the Supernatural Creatures Illustrated Book 6 on the table. Annie, who was standing next to him, looked at it curiously. On the page, there was a picture of a hideous black snake. There was a thin red line on the spine near the head. On the red line, there were dark red bone spurs. Next to the black snake pattern, there was also the name of the snake. Red-backed yin fire snake. Looking at this black snake, Annie inexplicably felt a sense of closeness, as if the black snake in the book was her own kind. It felt like a fellow villager meeting a fellow villager, and her eyes were filled with tears. With a smack, Lu Feng slapped Annie on the head, causing her to scream. But seeing Lu Feng's cold eyes, she immediately shrank her head in shock, her face full of regret. Seeing Annie's 2 inappropriate behaviors, Lu Feng couldn't help but frown. The blood experiment conducted by a wizard apprentice was indeed unreliable. The degree of fusion of this blood was obviously exceeded. Under the influence of the blood of the red-backed yin fire snake, Annie had slowly transformed from a human into a beast. This was obviously very different from the orthodox blood witchcraft that Lu Feng had come into contact with. The way of wizards requires rational thinking and an active mind. No one wants to be affected by the beast nature of the blood fused in the body. It is recorded in the extraordinary creature illustration that the red-backed yin fire snake is a cold-blooded animal that likes to eat carrion. It likes to curl up in the smelly mud swamp and feed on birds and wild beasts by the water. Affected by the yin and fire attributes in its blood, the red-backed yin fire snake will become particularly active under the moonlight. It often estresses on the day of the full moon and mates and reproduces under the moon. After reading the records in the book and looking at Annie next to him, if she was affected by her bloodline, her animal instincts would prevail over her rationality. Lu Feng could not imagine the scene of her eating carrion and sleeping in a cold place. Annie also read the introduction in the book. Thinking of what Lu Feng had just said in her own performance, she suddenly felt cold in her heart and broke out in a cold sweat. If it was really as the young master said, she was affected by the bloodline of the red-backed yin fire snake and dominated by her animal instincts. In that embarrassing scene, Annie felt that she might as well die. "Do you still remember the location of the laboratory of the wizard who imprisoned you and conducted blood experiments on you?" Lu Feng asked. Hearing this, Annie shook her head and said frustratedly, "After I killed that wizard, I sprayed a ball of black flames and burned the entire laboratory and the body. What a pity. If we can find the laboratory and get the Black Wizard's experimental records, maybe we can reverse the experimental process and think of a way," Lu Feng said regretfully. He specialized in botany in the botanical garden. Most of them were experiments in farming, flower cultivation, and seedling raising. The gap between this and blood research, which involves the core of the human body, was too big. They were not the same path at all. "Then, Master, is there really no other way?" Annie looked at Lu Feng with tears in her eyes, choking with sobs. This blow was too big for her. Lu Feng shook his head and said, "That's not the case. Those long-standing blood wizard families will have wizard meditation methods that match the family blood to help them control the power of their blood. As long as you get a meditation method that matches the Red Ridge Yin Fire Snake and practice it step by step, you can also control your blood." Puff. At this point, Lu Feng suddenly smiled with an ugly face and sighed helplessly. Chapter 1, Continue Typing. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35, Bloodline Shackles, Localization of Methods. The Red Ridge Yin Fire Snake, when it grows up, can be as powerful as a second-class wizard or apprentice. It is a very common supernatural creature in some cold swamps. It can usually grow to 3 or 4 meters long, about the thickness of a bowl, and its scales are tough and light, making it a good material for making leather armor. The bone spurs on its back are hard and sharp, and are often used to make crossbows that can be enchanted. Other parts are also useful. An adult red ridge-yin fire snake can usually be sold for 7 to 9 magic stones, making it an excellent target for low-level apprentices to hunt. When Lu Feng was in the botanical garden, he often saw red ridge-yin fire snake meat sets in restaurants. How could a wizard inherit this common and ordinary supernatural creature as a bloodline? At the beginning of the wizard's path, he would stagnate because of the shackles of bloodline. A fool wizard would not choose this. Similarly, the wizard meditation method that matches the red ridge-yin fire snake is simply impossible. After listening to Lu Feng's explanation, Annie's eyes dimmed and her body was shaky. After going through the initial pain, Annie has gradually adapted to the existence of the blood experiment on her body. After much difficulty, she began to follow the young master, became the housekeeper of the manor, and had a wonderful life. But now, the beautiful dream is slowly shattered in front of her eyes. No. Annie held her head and wailed, tearing the scales on her body desperately, trying to get rid of the dirty blood of the red-backed yin fire snake. Lu Feng was shocked by Annie's reaction, and hurriedly grabbed Annie's hand that was tearing the black scales, hugged her into his arms, and comforted her. No, don't hurt yourself. You can live boldly and safely, and let me solve the beast problem. Really? Young master. Annie leaned in Lu Feng's arms, sobbing softly, and asked in a low voice. Of course it's true, I'm a wizard, I'll study more, and there will definitely be a way. If it doesn't work, I can still find my teacher, who is a formal wizard, and there will always be a way to solve it. Lu Feng continued to comfort her, but he was thinking in his heart. I really shouldn't have said too much, and almost, a serious and responsible good housekeeper was gone. Thank you, master. After listening to the master's comfort, Annie cried for a while, and finally calmed down. She got out of Lu Feng's arms very embarrassedly. Lu Feng's chest was cold, full of Annie's tears. Go back and practice the savage elephant breathing method first, especially pay attention to meditating on the savage elephant more, improve your mental strength, and only when your mental strength is strong can you better control your body and suppress the beast in your body. I understand. Thank you, master. Then I will go to practice first. After listening to Lu Feng's suggestion, Annie nodded seriously and said to Lu Feng. After speaking, Annie put on a black robe and left the underground laboratory quickly. After sending Annie away, Lu Feng sat on a chair, touched his chin, and fell into deep thought. The extraordinary blood implanted in Annie by the garbage black wizard apprentice has too low an upper limit, which limits Annie's development. If Annie is allowed to contact wizard practice and guide her to become a wizard, perhaps this problem can be solved. However, on the one hand, Lu Feng has not tested Annie's wizard qualifications, and on the other hand, Lu Feng does not have a wizard meditation method for her to practice. The wizard meditation method that Lu Feng practiced was inherited from the botanical garden. At the beginning of his practice, he signed a contract with a botanical garden, under the witness of the projection of the spear of truth, and it was not allowed to be passed on to others. If the contract was violated, the soul would be pierced by the spear of truth. Recalling the vast breadth when signing the contract, Lu Feng naturally could not face the punishment of the plain artifact of the wizard world for a small housekeeper. Under the spear of truth, even his soul would probably be annihilated into ashes. Are there other ways? I have never learned blood transformation, and the students who practice this kind of witchcraft are still in the botanical garden. It's not easy to ask for help. Lu Feng knocked his head with a frown, and his eyes swept across the sandalwood rosary on the desk. Suddenly, an idea came to his mind. Maybe, I can try the skills of the earthly world. Sitting up straight, Lu Feng continued to look through the memory of monk Hujing, looking for a solution. The more he looked, the brighter Lu Feng's eyes became. Breaking away from the inherent thinking of the wizard world to solve problems, Lu Feng found that the world of earthly immortals was the way to solve the problem. Just a few skills that monk Hujing used to fool him can be used to alleviate Annie's blood problem. Taiyine body cleansing method can use the Taiyine moonlight to cleanse the body and remove all the filth in the body. The blood of the red ridge yin fire snake has been integrated into Annie's body and can be regarded as a part of her flesh and blood. In the Taiyine body cleansing method, It can also cleanse the impurities in the blood and purify the blood. There are also several Buddhist spells that can play a role. Reciting the small Vajra mantra can cleanse and strengthen the body. The small Prajna mantra, Prajna means wisdom in Buddhist language, and reciting the small Prajna mantra can develop the brain and improve wisdom. The small light mantra also has the effect of purifying the spirit and dispelling evil spirits. When Lu Feng discovered the effectiveness of these methods, he was delighted, but there was another difficulty in his heart. How can these things from the earthly immortal world be taught to Annie? The elephant armor skill was localized by him into the savage elephant breathing skill, and only taught it after a facelift. But these skills are much more difficult than the elephant armor skill. It is not easy to localize. Hey, take your time. I am a wizard after all. Research is my professional instinct. Isn't it just copying? I can always get it done by tinkering. Lu Feng smiled and comforted himself. He decided to practice these things by himself first, and then slowly localize these methods according to the actual situation of the wizard world. Only those who have understood and studied thoroughly can be modified. Time passed, day by day. In the underground laboratory of Cane Manor, Lu Feng practiced the Greenwood Shang Sutra to increase his magic power and cultivate the dead species of energy-absorbing ancient trees. At the same time, he studied the methods of the earthly immortal world and tried to transform the wizard world locally. On the other side, Annie and Baron Andre began to prepare after getting the apprentice version of the wizard tower given by Lu Feng. Lu Feng had already chosen a location for the construction of the wizard tower, which was in Cane Manor. Even the apprentice version of the wizard tower is a huge project, and the area alone reaches 10,000 square meters. The stones and labor required for construction are huge numbers. When Baron Andre saw the architectural drawings of the wizard tower for the first time, he was also shocked. However, thinking of Lu Feng's identity as a wizard, he felt that everything made sense. Isn't it just building a tower for a wizard? It's a piece of cake. Hongye town doesn't have much else, but it has a lot of people and money, so just spend it. When the wizard tower is completed and becomes a landmark building in Hongye town, others will know that there is a powerful wizard in Hongye town as soon as they see it. Hongye town will definitely become impregnable because of the wizard. The second update has been sent. Chapter 36, Construction of the Wizard Tower begins. Spell experiments. Seeing the landmark significance of the wizard tower in the future, Baron Andre's eyes lit up and he supported Lu Feng in building the tower. With Baron Andre's strong support, Hongye town suddenly became busy, noisy, and a scene of enthusiasm. For the basic material of the wizard tower, Lu Feng chose the black rock produced in the Black Rock Mountains near Hongye town. Black rock is hard in texture and is a good material for building city walls and castles. It is also a specialty of the Black Rock Mountains, but because of the difficulty in transportation, it is only a little famous near Hongye territory. Lu Feng's wizard tower requires a lot of black rock. Under the incentive of Baron Andre's salary, pieces of black rock with regular shapes were mined and transported to Lu Feng's Cane Manor by pack animals. The weather was fine, the construction site was busy and dusty. It seems that my second brother has developed Hongye town well, at least from the mental outlook of the civilians. After studying the exercises in the laboratory for a few days, Lu Feng came out for a walk during his break. Seeing this scene, he smiled and nodded. Young master is right. The Baron is really amazing. He has developed the territory into such a scene. During the days when I was a housekeeper, I always heard people praising the Baron's achievements. I don't know how much better than the lord of my hometown. Walking beside the young master, Annie also echoed Lu Feng's muttering. Thinking of the previous lord, Annie felt a gap when comparing with Baron Andre. Hearing Annie's agreement, Lu Feng's face became strange. These changes in Hongye town are not only the credit of his second brother, but also a large part of them are from me, the master. According to the normal historical development process of the Trendy subcontinent, it is estimated that Hongye town will be exactly the same as the terrible barren territory of your hometown in 100 or 80 years. If it weren't for my guidance, it would be wishful thinking for 2 generations of Hongye town to develop into what it is now. However, looking at the longing look of the young housekeeper, Lu Feng was too lazy to point it out. When she stays in Hongye town for a long time, she will definitely discover the greatness of me, the master. Black rocks were continuously sent to Cane Manor. Lu Feng and Annie looked at them together. The quantity was not much, far from the amount needed to build a wizard tower. Everything was in order on the construction site. The materials had not yet arrived, and it was not yet time for him to personally take charge, so Lu Feng did not stay on the dusty construction site for long. Back to the underground laboratory. Master, are these rocks just left here? Annie easily placed the 3 black rocks as big as millstones in her arms on the laboratory table. Annie was very curious about Lu Feng's strange request. Just leave them there. Do you have anything to do later? If not, stay and help me. I have to do some experiments. Lu Feng changed into a comfortable wizard robe, came to the laboratory table, looked at Annie, and said casually, Master, I don't have anything to do later. Please tell me if you need anything. Annie was originally going to arrange dinner for the evening, but after hearing what Lu Feng said, she immediately chose to stay and be an experimental assistant. Dinner is not as important as being an assistant. Her life was changed by wizards, and Anne was of course yearning for it and eager to touch the wizard world. Well, by the way, you wear this wizard robe first. Your black robe is not convenient for experiments. When changing clothes, Lu Feng caught a glimpse of a black robe, and threw a wizard robe in the closet to Anne, asking her to change into it. Okay. Anne took the wizard robe and changed into it in a corner that blocked her sight. Experiments are the most important part of a wizard's life besides meditation and practicing spells. According to incomplete statistics, most formal wizards spend an average of 1/3 of their time in research experiments. Experiments are the source of wizards' progress. Looking at the history of the development of the wizard profession, the success of every wizard path is inseparable from the evidence of experiments. It is based on the discovery, observation and exploration of a large number of experimental phenomena by wizards. Standing in front of the experimental table, Lu Feng washed his hands, did not do any experiments, but chattered with Anne about some wizard's ideas. Just as when he entered the botanical garden to study and follow Teacher Tia as an experimental assistant, Teacher Tia told him. Annie didn't understand what Lu Feng said. There seemed to be a flash of inspiration in her head, but it was like an illusory bubble, as if nothing existed. It was a very strange feeling, but Annie still recorded all of Lu Feng's words in her heart. Anyway, it was said by the young master, so if she memorized it and believed it a little, there would be no problem. As he got older, Lu Feng felt that sometimes he said a lot without realizing it. Glancing at Annie, who was confused by what he said, Lu Feng coughed, stopped preaching, stuffed a form of experimental data into Annie's hand, and said, Annie, our experimental topic today is the effect of XXX spell on the basic properties of black rock. I will cast a spell on this black rock later, and you will be responsible for recording the experimental data Annie understands. Holding the experimental form, Annie nodded solemnly. After instructing Annie, Lu Feng used magic to cut a piece of black rock as big as a millstone into 4 cubes with a side length of 10 centimeters. Picking up one of them, Lu Feng recited a small Vajra mantra to the black rock cube according to the practice of the past few days. The strange and difficult to pronounce mantra came out of Lu Feng's mouth. A faint golden light slowly fell on the black rock block in his hand as Lu Feng chanted the mantra. The dark stone absorbed the golden light like a sponge. After reciting the small Vajra mantra, the golden light on the stone dissipated. Annie felt that the black rock in the young master's hand seemed to have an indescribable taste. It seemed to be harder. Is this a spell? The power of a wizard. When Annie was puzzled, Lu Feng put down the stone after the spell and began to test the various basic properties of the black rock. Annie recorded it on the side. After a test, the basic properties of the black rock block blessed with a small Vajra mantra increased by 1.23%, with remarkable results. The Buddhist weapon refining method in the world of earthly immortals is really powerful. One recitation of the Vajra mantra consumes 2% of my mental power. In the wizard world, a level 0 spell that can achieve the same effect consumes at least 5% of my mental power. The difference is immediately apparent when compared. What's more important is that the Buddhist spells can be used by ordinary people. Each recitation of the spell is weak, but the difference in quality can be made up by quantity. Looking at the intuitive data, Lu Feng fell into thought. If ordinary people in Hongye town were allowed to help him chant the spell and bless the wizard tower, it would not take much time for the apprentice version of the wizard tower built with black rocks to be comparable to the real wizard tower. Lu Feng saw a broad road with a promising future. However, this road is not easy to walk before he has the strength of a formal wizard. Annie, what do you think of the spell I just cast? Do you want to learn it? The first update. Chapter 37 Localized Spell, Vajra Protection. Master, I feel that the spell you cast just now is very powerful. With just one use, the basic properties of the black rock have been improved. Can you cast it a few more times? In this way, will the black rock become harder? If the black rock affected by these spells is made into a weapon, will it be more powerful? Facing Lu Feng's inquiry, Annie put forward her own views on the small Vajra mantra. It's a very smart idea, but the object of the spell does not have to be black rock. You can also choose metal materials or other materials. However, you need to experiment yourself. Annie's answer made Lu Feng very satisfied. She is a person who likes to use his brain. After commenting, Lu Feng took out a piece of crystal from the side of the experimental table and handed it to Annie. This is a one-time memory crystal, and the crystal records the small Vajra mantra translated into the common language of the wizard world. After localization, the small Vajra mantra was also renamed by Lu Feng as Vajra Protection, which is close to the naming style of the wizard world. This is the level 0 spell I just cast, called Vajra Protection, which can enhance the basic properties of ordinary objects in biological bodies. You can try it first. Lu Feng has been studying hard these days, using the spell template of the level 0 spell in the wizard world to fill in the small Vajra mantra. Chanting the spell, hand gestures, and mental power to outline the runes of the small Vajra mantra, forming a localized level 0 spell, Vajra Protection, in the wizard world. Although the casting process has become more complicated compared to the small Vajra mantra in the earthly world, from Lu Feng's perspective, there is no problem with Vajra Protection now. Of course, there are some secret knowledge of the small Vajra mantra that Lu Feng did not write in the memory crystal, such as the function of the utensils that ordinary people can chant to bless. Formal wizards may be able to see some problems from the meditation runes of Vajra Protection. The spell runes that constitute Vajra Protection are not the spell runes commonly used in the wizard world. The wizard world is vast, and some new runes have been born. It is also normal to discover some ancient ruins and ancient runes. Lu Feng learned 17 languages in the botanical garden, because the history and races of the wizard world are too complicated. The extraordinary knowledge of various races is mixed together. If you don't learn a specific language, you can't even understand a top-level meditation method in front of you. This is the best localization method that Lu Feng can think of now. Annie took the memory crystal and communicated with the memory crystal according to Professor Lu Feng's method. Suddenly, a huge amount of information was transmitted to her brain. After Annie used it, the memory crystal lost its luster, and all the information recorded in it disappeared. Digesting the extra information in her mind, Annie studied hard and came into contact with the first level 0 spell, Vajra Protection. Annie's learning speed was not fast for the first time. The knowledge of spells involves a lot of professional terms, which requires Lu Feng to teach in time. In addition to practicing the Qingmu Changsheng Sutra, Lu Feng taught Annie when he was free, intending to train her in the direction of a wizard. His subordinates, Hongye Town, need more wizards. 4 days later, Annie finally learned Vajra Protection, and could use it with some difficulty. After using the spell, Vajra Protection, a golden light attached to the black snake scales all over her body. Annie felt that her body was full of strength, and she felt that she could kill a demon bull with a stretch of her hand. The faint golden light protecting her body made Annie feel that ordinary swords and knives could not hurt her at all. She moved stones to test her strength, chopped with swords and knives, and tested the protective ability of the golden light. Annie carefully recorded the effects of the spell while casting the spell. 3 minutes later, the effect of Vajra Protection disappeared. Without the power of blessing, Annie felt a sense of loss, and a soreness came from her body, which was the normal feedback of muscles after excessive exercise. Rest, cast spells, experiment, and record. Annie carefully experimented with the effect of Vajra Protection, from her own experiments to blessing objects. Her serious look made Lu Feng dazed, as if he saw himself in the botanical garden in the past. No wonder teacher, Tia, is not opposed to taking wizard apprentices. It turns out that it is so pleasant to leave things to apprentices. Lu Feng sat under the magic stone lamp, sipping red wine, eating fruits, and feeling happy. Time slipped away quietly in the leisurely days, and another 5 days passed in a flash. Lu Feng practiced the Qingmu Changsheng Sutra step by step, and now he has practiced 39 acupoints and his magic power has increased greatly. According to the cultivation level classification of the earthly immortal world, He should now be a middle-grade Taoist child. If he practices 33 more accurate points, he can enter the level of a high-grade Taoist child. However, after practicing the King Mu Chang Sheng Sutra these days, Lu Feng's natal spirit plant, the dead seed of the energy-absorbing ancient tree, is still the same, but the vitality is a little stronger. My little baby. When can you change? Feeding it constantly, with little effect, made Lu Feng a headache. In the past few days, Annie has become more and more adapted to the life of a wizard apprentice in the laboratory. All the experimental tasks arranged by Lu Feng can be completed quickly and on time with quality, saving Lu Feng a lot of time. It seems that she was born to do this job. As for the housekeeper duties of Kane Manor, Annie had long since stepped down and handed them over to the son of the second brother Andre, Houston. The second brother Andre meant that Houston was stupid and he was bored staying in Redleaf Castle, so he should come to his wizard brother to learn more and improve his brain. Lu Feng wanted to say that it was not a good thing to stay with a wizard. The naturally diffused life force field would bring a lot of trouble to ordinary people. However, at the request of the second brother Andre, Houston still took over the position of Annie's housekeeper. It seems that the second brother Andre really likes Houston as a child and wants to train him as an heir. Speaking of Houston, the door of the laboratory was knocked, and after getting Lu Feng's permission, Houston walked into the underground laboratory. Uncle. Wizard Matthew is here. He said that he has got the herbs you asked him to collect. He is resting in the manor now. Matthew walked to Lu Feng and said, Matthew, that guy is here. He came just in time. I only have one bottle of vitality potion left. Lu Feng stood up from the recliner with a happy face, and shouted to the depths of the laboratory. Annie, stop the experiment in your hand and follow me. Okay, master, I'll be right there. Annie's voice came from inside. After a while, Annie, wearing a wizard robe and covered with scales, appeared in front of Houston. Although it was not the first time, Houston looked at Annie's appearance with some fear in his eyes. Boy, don't wear glasses if you don't want to see, otherwise my fist will have eyes. As if she noticed Houston's gaze, Annie raised her fist and said lightly, Yes, sorry, Sister Annie. Second update. I was a little stuck today. I wrote it late. I feel that it is not well written. I don't know if it suits everyone's taste. If you have any comments, please give me more advice. Chapter 38 Matthew returns and all the medicinal materials are available. Houston thought about his weak body that had not yet trained the seed of life, and then thought about how Anne could smash He Yan's fist with her bare hands. If Anne punched him in the face, he would have to lie in bed for 10 days or half a month. Besides, he was wrong first, so Houston quickly lowered his head and begged for mercy. Humph. Anne snorted coldly, not dwelling on this matter. She also knew that her body covered with scales was too scary in the eyes of ordinary people like Houston. Entering the dressing room, Anne took off her wizard robe and wrapped herself tightly in a black robe, then followed Lu Feng and Houston out of the underground laboratory. Houston led the way in front, and soon the three of them came to the courtyard where the wizard Matthew rested. In the courtyard, the white-haired wizard Matthew was in front of two pack animals that looked like camels, directing the noble youth who followed him last time to move bags of things from the pack animals and put them in the yard. From the smell, they were all materials for making potions. Looking at the quantity, Wizard Matthew must have worked hard on this trip. Wizard Matthew, we are here. Lu Feng greeted him with a smile as he entered the courtyard. Hearing Lu Feng's voice, Matthew returned happily. Sir Rest, you are just in time. These are all fresh materials I collected from several nearby principalities. I checked them myself. I guarantee you will be satisfied. As he said that, he opened the bag and showed Lu Feng the fruits of his labor, as if he was trying to win credit from Lu Feng. Lu Feng nodded, opened the bag, and checked it carefully. It was indeed as the old man Matthew said, all of them were materials of good quality. They were not as good as the good stuff cultivated in the botanical garden, but they were also good on the secondary continent. Matthew, although not young, was quite capable. Annie, take Houston to count the number of these materials. After roughly looking through the bags of materials and making sure there were no problems, Lu Feng handed the task of counting the materials to Anne. Anne has also been learning basic botany recently, so there was no problem in distinguishing and counting these materials. Okay, master. Anne nodded, took the bag from Lu Feng, and counted it carefully with Houston as an assistant. The noble young man brought by Matthew also silently lent his hand to help. "Is this the wizard apprentice you brought? He looks pretty good." Matai was a little surprised to see Anne working seriously, and the sacred coldness with a hint of hot breath. "This apprentice looks like he is about to officially become a first-class wizard apprentice. He was not so strong when he came last time. How much time has passed?" "More than half a month, and there has been such a big change? A good teacher produces a good apprentice?" Thinking of his difficult and painful wizard apprenticeship in the White Bone Cemetery, Matai looked at Anne with envy. "If I could also make a living by rest's side, maybe I could have a good old age in the last few years of my life. If my son could become rest's apprentice, I would have no regrets in my life." Matayu's eyes fell on the noble young man, and he had some ideas in his mind. By praising Anne's excellence, Matayu and Lu Feng started a conversation and chatted. When talking about the current Grand Duke of the Tulip Principality, Matayu had brought Lu Feng's attitude back to the Lawrence family. There was not much conflict of interest between Lu Feng and the Lawrence family. With the support of the strength of the third-class wizard apprentice, the Lawrence family did not show any hostility. There was also a desire to cooperate. When Matayu helped Lu Feng collect materials, the Lawrence family also helped. Lu Feng was quite satisfied with the attitude of the Lawrence family. He had no intention of tossing Baron Hongye for the time being. It would be better if everyone could cooperate and get along. When talking about the Tulip Principality, Matayu naturally compared the differences between Hongye Town and the Principality. The development of Hongye Town gave him a refreshing feeling. The Principality is not small, and no place is better developed than Hongye Town. Even the capital is not good. Walking out of Hongye Town is like walking from a luxurious aristocratic castle into a dirty and smelly slum. From infrastructure to humanistic atmosphere, they are all completely different. Matayu had the urge to move his family from the capital to Hongye Town. When talking about this, Lu Feng just smiled and didn't elaborate. The development of Hongye Town was the result of 2 generations of Baron Hongye listening to his ideas and going through numerous hardships and dangers to slowly transform it. These changes can be made silently, but forget it if you want to say it out loud. Hongye Town has him as a wizard to escort it. If you want to change other places, you should ask those nobles with vested interests, right? They also talked about the busy construction side in the manor. When Matayu learned that Lu Feng was going to build a wizard tower here, his eyes suddenly lit up. Matayu had been in the White Bone Cemetery, so he naturally knew the significance of the wizard tower. Although Lu Feng repeatedly emphasized that what he was going to build was just an apprentice version of the wizard tower, it still couldn't extinguish the burning flame in Matayu's heart. Time passed as the two chatted, and Annie and the other 2 counted the materials Matayu brought. "Master, there are 49 materials for making vitality potions," Annie reported. "The quantity is correct." Matayu also nodded to confirm. "The market price of the materials for the vitality potion is 160 gold coins per portion, 49 portions, a total of 7,840 gold coins. If you pay with magic stones, 7 standard magic stones will be enough." "No problem, I don't have much gold coins, so I'll pay with magic stones." Lu Feng calculated in his mind and found that the price was about the same as the price he asked in Dylan's port when he came back, so he took out 7 standard magic stones and paid. On the secondary continent, the major kingdoms have a unified price of 1 magic stone equal to 1,000 gold coins, 1 gold coin equals 100 silver coins, and 1 silver coin equals 100 copper coins. Magic stones and gold coins are generally exchanged in a one-way manner. 1 magic stone can be exchanged for 1,000 gold coins, but 1,000 gold coins can never be exchanged for 1 magic stone. After all, magic stones are a collection of energy and are widely used in the hands of wizards. Various metals are experimental materials with limited uses and naturally limited value. Not to mention that some formal wizards, when wandering in the void of the plane, often encounter a special plane where the materials are all gold and silver. If it weren't for the artificial control of the wizard organization that controls each kingdom, the metal currency of the secondary continent would have collapsed long ago. After the money and goods were settled, Lu Feng prepared a dinner and politely welcomed Matayu and his son. They ate, drank and chatted, and both the host and the guests were happy. The next day, Matayu took his son and did not leave in a hurry, but rested in the manor. After a long journey, the elderly Matayu said that he couldn't bear it, and planned to stay with Lu Feng for a few days, rest well, and then set off again. That being said, whether Matayu had other little thoughts, Lu Feng saw it in his eyes, But he didn't mean to point it out. The first update, continue typing. Chapter 39, A Great Harvest of Potions. Witchcraft Wisdom. The next day, after breakfast, Lu Feng entered the underground laboratory and began to prepare the refining of the vitality potion. In the botanical garden, Lu Feng specialized in pharmacy and was quite good at refining potions. Lu Feng was already very proficient in the basic apprentice-level potion, the vitality potion. In order to train Annie, Lu Feng slowed down when refining the potion. While doing it, he explained to Annie the refining techniques of the vitality potion. The processing of medicinal materials, the selection of solvents, the process of extracting essences, and the method of mental power reconciliation. Refining potions in the wizard world is different from refining elixirs in the earthly world. It is more like Lu Feng's chemical experiments in his previous life. The whole world is reflected in the bottles and jars. 20 minutes later, this is the last step. When the potion in the crystal bottle turns emerald green and exudes a plant fragrance, the vitality potion is completed. At this time, the flame must be extinguished. When the potion in the crystal bottle cools down and does not change color, it means that the vitality potion has been successfully refined. Lu Feng seized the opportunity, extinguished the flame under the crystal bottle, and said to Annie. When the crystal bottle cooled down, the liquid in the bottle was still crystal green, like a bottle of flowing emerald, dazzling. A faint plant fragrance spread from the mouth of the bottle, and Annie felt comfortable all over. Picking up the crystal bottle, Lu Feng poured the potion in the bottle into the potion bottles prepared in advance, just enough to fill 3 potion bottles. It seems that my craftsmanship has not regressed. One material can be made into 3 potions. There is no comparison with the master's skills. Lu Feng muttered, and Annie beside him was shocked. The master's alchemy skills are amazing. These days, she has also been studying botany and flipping through some books on alchemy. Annie knows the difficulty of alchemy after just reading some of the fur. Just reading some words made her dizzy, not to mention the actual potion refining. Lu Feng demonstrated it in front of her, and Annie felt that she remembered all the steps, but if she had to do it herself, she would probably blow up the crystal bottle. Mastering the timing of each reaction is more dangerous than walking on the edge of a knife. The most outrageous thing is that Lu Feng can maximize the use of the materials of a vitality potion, squeeze out the essence of the materials, and refine more potions. This skill was only described in the book that Annie read. It is said that only the master of potion who has studied the pharmacy to the extreme can master it. A medicinal material costs 160 gold coins, and a bottle of vitality potion can be sold for 300 to 400 gold coins. Lu Feng can make a net profit of 890 gold coins with this trick alone, with a profit margin of 556%. It's outrageous. After Lu Feng pretended to be an apprentice, he continued to refine the vitality potion. After a busy day, he finally consumed 7 of the 49 materials. Lu Feng planned to keep the rest for Annie to practice in the future. This simple potion can't always be practiced by him as a mentor. Little apprentice Annie, you must play your role. Contribute light and heat to the master's laboratory. After a busy day, Lu Feng was exhausted. He couldn't bear to concentrate his mental power for a long time, even with the mental strength of a third-class wizard apprentice. However, looking at the 110 bottles of vitality potions neatly arranged on the laboratory table, Lu Feng felt it was worth it. The advanced skill of practicing 3 at a time was sometimes unstable when Lu Feng performed. In most cases, he could practice 3 times. Sometimes he made a mistake, 2 times, or 1 time. 110 bottles of vitality potions can probably sustain his consumption for 2 months. After 2 months, the apprentice Annie will probably be able to stand on her own. Annie's diligence and learning was seen by Lu Feng and he had high hopes for her. After drinking a bottle of fresh vitality potion, Lu Feng enjoyed the warmth of the potion and sat on the recliner to recover his spirit. Annie began to clean the messy laboratory table, pick up the garbage, clean the equipment, and put it back in place. When she finished, reviewed what she had learned today, and sorted out her notes, Lu Feng had fallen asleep on the recliner. When he woke up, it was already the next morning. Walking out of the laboratory and coming to the open space next to it, the sun had just risen, and Annie and Houston were already practicing the savage elephant breathing method in the open space. 1 punch and 1 kick, full of power. Perhaps the physical strength attribute of the ice-filled savage elephant was too prominent, and the savage elephant breathing method transformed by Lu Feng was already very different from the original elephant armor skill. Savage elephant breathing method focuses more on strengthening physical strength. The two people who practice this method have become stronger and stronger. Annie's strength has increased a lot due to her bloodline and gender, and her muscle growth is not obvious. But Houston's muscles have obviously expanded by several dimensions. The whole person is honest and shy. The noble young man gradually developed into a savage bear. Seeing Lu Feng coming, the two stopped after practicing punches and kicks. "Master." "Uncle." Lu Feng nodded, and then asked, "Houston, how is your witch wisdom practice?" Witch wisdom is the name after Lu Feng localized the small prajna mantra of monk Hujing. After Houston worked for Lu Feng passed on witchcraft wisdom to Annie and Houston. Annie learned quickly and learned it in more than a day. But Houston's learning speed was a bit slow. He had many bumps and had not learned it for several days. Houston was anxious and began to doubt his brain. Annie had the blood of the Red Ridge Yin fire snake, but Houston had nothing. Lu Feng used the crystal ball to test his talent, which was worse than Lu Feng's. According to the classification of qualifications in the wizard world, there are 5 levels in total. The first level is the worst and the 5th level is the best. Lu Feng's qualifications are the 3rd level, which is the kind of hard work that can be cultivated to the 3rd level wizard apprentice for a lifetime, and it takes great perseverance and great opportunities to become a formal wizard. According to the crystal ball test, Houston's qualifications are only the 1st level. It is the kind of garbage that normally can only be a 1st level wizard apprentice in a lifetime. Annie's qualifications are better than Lu Feng's, and are the 4th level. If it weren't for the blood transformation and blood shackles of the Red Ridge Yin fire snake, she could have become a formal wizard with hard work. When Annie's qualifications were tested, Lu Feng wanted to contact his master, Tia, who was far away on the spot, and send Annie to her as an apprentice. He was just a 3rd-class wizard apprentice. Keeping Annie around was really a waste of her talent and misleading others. After the test came out, Lu Feng also told Annie about this, but Annie remained silent and did not express her opinion. Lu Feng was annoyed for a while. He had to teach Annie everything he knew and teach her more wizard knowledge. Other things will be discussed later. After all, he is a person with a golden finger, so he should not belittle himself. If Houston, who has a 1st-class talent, was in the botanical garden, Lu Feng would definitely despise him. But Houston is his nephew after all. He is honest and loyal, and he also helps him manage the cane manor with diligence and heart. So, Lu Feng should help as much as he can. The wisdom of witchcraft that Lu Feng taught him was the way to break the impasse. Chapter 2, I will start updating it tomorrow. I will do my best to catch up. Chapter 40, Localized Kikken, Moon Wheel Meditation. Witchcraft wisdom, the prototype is the small prajna mantra of monk Hujing. Prajna, in Buddhism, means wisdom and enlightenment. Chanting the small prajna mantra can open the mind and enlighten the heart. The localized witchcraft wisdom can slightly improve the intelligence and mental power of the user, which lasts for 10 minutes. Of course, the mantra of witchcraft wisdom still maintains the function of the small prajna mantra to open the mind and enlighten the heart. But without the catalysis of mana and mental power, the effect is slight. Chanting the mantra sincerely thousands of times can also open the stone and enlighten the mind. The Buddhist sect in the world of earthly immortals is easy to enter, and sincerity is effective. Whether Houston, who has 1st-class qualifications, can embark on the path of a wizard depends on his own dedication. Hearing Lu Feng's question, Houston said with shame that he failed to perform witchcraft wisdom and failed his uncle's expectations. Lu Feng listened and looked calm. Poor qualifications and slow learning speed are normal phenomena. When studying in the botanical garden before, Lu Feng was often crushed by his peers, and he had long been accustomed to it. Moreover, witch wisdom is not an orthodox practice. If you want to practice it, you need more efforts and dedication. After blessing Houston with witch wisdom, Lu Feng continued to answer the questions they encountered when practicing witch wisdom. Annie learned quickly and asked a lot of questions, but Lu Feng understood everything at once and could often draw inferences from one example. Houston was a little worse. After blessing witch wisdom, he could only barely keep up with the pace of the two. Houston, you should still focus on the savage elephant breathing method and strive to break through and become a great knight as soon as possible, but at the same time, you should not stop practicing witch wisdom. Continuously practicing the spell can improve your mental strength. Annie, when you practice on weekdays, you should also bless Houston with witch wisdom to help him. After finding out the foundation of the two, Lu Feng instructed. At the same time, he also allocated some quotas for vitality potions for the two. With the physical strength of the two, a bottle of vitality potion is enough for them to drink for 4 or 5 days. I understand, Master. Annie nodded and said seriously. Afterwards, Lu Feng asked Annie some physical questions and was concerned about her blood transformation. Annie answered truthfully that after practicing Vajra protection and witchcraft wisdom, she found that her mental power was slowly growing and her control over her body was slowly improving. Annie could feel that the beast nature in the blood of the Red Ridge Yin fire snake was weakening the impact on her body. Hearing this, Lu Feng nodded and smiled happily. The Buddhist magic in the world of earthly immortals really has some tricks. It seems that his choice was right. The Buddhist magic is already so amazing, so what will be the effect of the remaining side door skills in Monk Hujing's memory? By the way, Lu Feng remembered the Taiyan body washing method in Monk Hujing's memory. Monk Hujing told Lu Feng that the method was incomplete, and there was a backup plan to turn the person who practiced this method into a zombie. However, when Lu Feng looked through Monk Hujing's memory, he found the complete Taiyan body washing method. The complete Taiyan body cleansing method is a basic Kigen method of Taoism in the earthly immortal world. Although this method lacks the follow-up of cultivating into the spiritual realm, it is also a good method. During practice, take the Taiyan moonlight to cleanse the body and refine the body to the Taiyan purity. Whether it is to switch to other methods or continue to advance on the Taiyan path, it is a good choice. Lu Feng has a hunch that this Taiyan body cleansing method can solve the hidden dangers of blood transformation in Annie. However, it is easy to localize Buddhist spells, but this basic method that can be compared with a meditation method in the wizard world is not easy to change. The core of the basic method of the earthly immortal world is the method of visualizing and gathering ki, supplemented by the method of moving ki through meridians and acupoints. However, the method of moving ki through meridians and acupoints is too special in the wizard world, and the characteristics of the other world are too obvious. With my current strength, it would be too troublesome to spread it out. If I only use the Taiyan body washing method to visualize the part of gathering ki, it is somewhat similar to the meditation method in the wizard world. However, the effect of the method may be greatly reduced. Lu Feng thought in his heart. However, the concentration of spiritual energy in the wizard world is much higher than that in the earthly immortal world. The effect is worse, but the speed of cultivation is not slow. Using quantity to make up for quality and make do with it is a good choice for Annie. After deciding on the idea, Lu Feng returned to the laboratory to study the Taiyan body washing method. While trying it himself, he also made localized modifications to the Taiyan body washing method. 2 days later, it was done. Lu Feng called Annie and taught her the localized Taiyan body washing method. This is a wizard meditation method I got by chance, called Moonwheel Meditation Method, with yin attributes, matching the blood of the Red Ridge Yin fire snake in your body. You should try to learn it first, Lu Feng said, handing over a memory crystal. Annie took the memory crystal handed over by Lu Feng, blessed herself with her witch wisdom, and began to receive the information of the Moonwheel Meditation Method. After a while, Annie digested the extra memories in her mind with a dizzy head and put down the dim memory crystal. With a practice experience of witch wisdom and Vajra protection, Annie spent a day to sort out the practice steps of the Moonwheel Meditation Method. The next night, Annie began to practice the Moonwheel Meditation Method under the protection of Lu Feng. Tonight, the weather is clear and the moon is bright. The bright moonlight shines on Kane Manor, above the underground laboratory, and Lu Feng's courtyard is as bright as day under the moonlight. Annie sits in the courtyard, closes her eyes and meditates. The moonlight in the sky keeps falling down, and then penetrates into her body through her black scales. Anne was immersed in the moonlight, and the blood and flesh particles in her body were greedily absorbing the moonlight, giving off a sense of satisfaction and joy. In Lu Feng's eyes, every breath of Anne was filled with a bright moonlight, which was extremely magical, and there was a faint snake hissing in his ears. In a trance, Anne seemed to have transformed into a red-backed yin fire snake, entrenched in the courtyard, raising her snake head high, swallowing the moonlight in big mouthfuls. It seems that the Moonwheel Meditation Method and the red-backed yin fire snake in Anne's body are very compatible. Lu Feng murmured in his heart, knowing that Anne's performance was because the moonlight absorbed by the meditation method stimulated the blood of the red-backed yin fire snake. Unable to figure out whether this change was good or bad, Lu Feng could only keep an eye on Anne and help her as soon as possible if something unexpected happened. However, as time passed, Anne did not have any accidents. On the contrary, in the process of constantly swallowing the moonlight, Anne's scales seemed to be covered with a layer of moonlight, and the dark color faded a little, becoming more round and crystal clear, like jade. The moon was setting in the west. Annie stopped practicing with a tired look on her face. She opened her eyes, her green pupils full of joy. This is the first update. There are 3 updates planned for today. There are 2 more to go. Please wait. Chapter 41. Go and ask Master Lu Feng for help. After stopping her practice, Annie was mentally exhausted. Feeling the changes in her body, Annie was delighted. The improvements brought by the 2 spells, which Wisdom and Vajra Protection, were temporary, superficial, and inconvenient. Once the time was up, they were beaten back to their original form, and the power they brought did not give them a sense of security. The moon wheel meditation method was a real practice method. When practicing, one absorbed the moonlight of the moon, cleansed the body, and nourished the spirit. Every time she practiced for a while, Annie could feel her progress. Seeing Annie wake up, Lu Feng asked. To understand, record Annie's feelings about practicing the moon wheel meditation method, the problems she encountered during practice, and the confusions, and then answer them one by one. Lu Feng also focused on the changes in the blood of the red-backed yin fire snake in Annie's body when practicing the moon wheel meditation method. Fortunately for Lu Feng, the blood of the red-backed yin fire snake in Annie's body did not bring any negative effects. Under the nourishment of the moonlight of the moon, the blood was more thoroughly integrated, and Annie was more easily able to control it. After confirming the effect of the moon wheel meditation method, Lu Feng also put his mind at ease and let Annie practice on her own. These days, he was busy with the localization of the methods of the earthly immortal world, which consumed a lot of Lu Feng's energy. He used his brain too much, and Lu Feng felt that he had fallen into a period of weakness. He was exhausted and lay in a comfortable place, not wanting to move at all. However, the results were also gratifying. At least Lu Feng had a barely passable wizard inheritance in his hands, which was barely enough to practice to become a wizard apprentice. First, use the barbarian elephant breathing method to exercise the body, and after practicing the life seed, learn witchcraft wisdom. In the continuous research and use, slowly improve the intelligence and spirit. When you break through to the great night realm and can use your spirit to perceive the energy particles between heaven and earth, you can switch to the moon wheel meditation method to start the practice of a wizard apprentice. One step at a time, steadily move forward. Since the methods of the earthly immortal world do not pick talents, even ordinary people, if they study hard and invest a lot of resources, have a certain chance of becoming a wizard apprentice. However, compared with talented people, the time and resources consumed must be much more. Anne and Houston, who are under Lu Feng, are 2 typical examples. However, this set of methods is at least hopeful for ordinary people, isn't it? After finishing the work of the cultivation method, Lu Feng took a 3-day rest before he recovered. At noon, Red Leaf Castle. Baron Andre was entertaining Wizard Mathieu, and the 2 chatted enthusiastically. Wizard Mathieu did not leave Red Leaf territory these days. After resting in Cane Manor for a few days, he moved to Baron Andre's Red Leaf Castle for a few days. People become wise when they grow old, let alone a smart wizard. Since seeing Lu Feng's future, Mathieu has made up his mind to stay in Red Leaf Town and want to get close to Lu Feng. His son, the noble young man, was sent back to the capital by Mathieu, and he was going to move his people to Red Leaf Town. Mathieu is not a member of the Lawrence family. He just stayed in the capital to work for the Lawrence family, for the resources of the Lawrence family. Mathieu has the strength of a second-class wizard apprentice, and he has made up his mind to leave. The Lawrence family cannot keep him even if they want to. They will not be so foolish as to harm his family. Instead, they will kindly escort Mathieu's people to Hongye town. As an old noble family, the Lawrence family is still clear about the relationship between one more possible enemy and one more enemy who will never give up. Lu Feng has been staying in the manor to do research. Mathieu has prepared several scenes of encounter in the manor, but none of them worked out. In frustration, he met Baron Andre, who came to Cane Manor. After learning about the relationship between Baron Andre and Lu Feng, Mathieu suddenly came up with a plan to save the country in a roundabout way. If you can't deal with Lu Feng, start by dealing with Lu Feng's second brother. With the identity of a wizard, Mathieu soon had a good chat with Baron André. Baron André had been the lord for so many years. Before Lu Feng returned to Hongye town, he often dealt with various forces. He was a shrewd old fox. From Mathieu's chat and behavior, he soon understood Mathieu's intention to join Hongye town. After Lu Feng said something, and Lu Feng did not object, Baron André took the initiative to make friends with Mathieu. There are definitely many benefits to recruiting a second-class wizard apprentice. After a few exchanges, the two old foxes who pretended to be good became good friends, and Mathieu also moved into Hongye Castle. At the dining table, the two were eating and drinking happily. Suddenly, a hurried footstep rushed into the restaurant. "Baron, something bad has happened." The door opened, and the man who rushed into the restaurant was tall and strong, wearing a suit of steel armor, carrying a big sword, with a rough face and a look of anxiety. Seeing the face of the person who rushed into the restaurant, Baron André felt something was wrong and asked quickly, "Kadir, what happened?" "Something happened in the Black Rock Mountains." The man was called Kadir, the cavalry captain of Red Leaf Castle. Because of Lu Feng's construction of the Wizard Tower these days, Baron André sent him to the Black Rock Mountains to supervise the collection and transportation of black rocks. "Baron, it's like this." Kadir took a deep breath and explained to the Baron, "Today, the cavalry just escorted a batch of black rocks to Cane Manor. On the way back to the Black Rock Mountains, they met 3 soldiers who escaped from the Black Rock Mountains. According to them, when quarrying in the Black Rock Mountains, they didn't know what they encountered. Suddenly, a black mist spurted out from the cracks in the rocks, covering a large area. Those who inhaled the black mist would lose consciousness. Now many workers in the Black Rock quarry have lost consciousness because of the black mist. The emotions of fear and terror spread, and now the quarry has stopped." Hearing Kadir's description, André's face sank and said, "This is troublesome. If the warcraft, supernatural creatures, and wild beasts attacked the quarry, the soldiers of Hongye town could still hold on. At the very least, he, a baron with night cultivation, could also fight on the battlefield. But the black fog that appeared in the Black Rock Mountains this time was too weird." Baron André had never encountered it in his life and had no idea where to start. What to do? Baron André's eyes fell on Mathieu, who was standing beside him. Before the Baron could speak, Mathieu spoke first. "Baron, don't worry. We wizards are the best at solving these strange phenomena. I can go to the Black Rock Mountains with you to have a look." Mathieu's eyes lit up when he heard Kadir's explanation. Although he didn't know what the strange black fog was, it didn't prevent Mathieu from showing off. "Then I'll trouble Wizard Mathieu. If you can solve the crisis of the Black Rock Mountains this time, I will definitely reward you handsomely." The Black Rock Mountains are related to the construction of the Wizard Tower. Baron André did not refuse. He knew what Mathieu was thinking, so he said what he meant. "Okay, then I'll go back to the room to get some equipment, and you guys should also make preparations. I'll be back soon," Mathieu said to the Baron, and his figure flashed, and he disappeared in the restaurant at a speed that didn't match his age. After Wizard Mathieu left, Baron André summoned a personal guard and said to him, "You have heard what happened just now. Go to Cane Manor and inform Wizard Rest, and ask him for help." Second update, please follow along. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42: The Mysterious Black Fog. After instructing his personal guards, Baron André, with the help of his servants, put on a light leather armor, took a big sword, summoned his personal guards, and rushed to the front door of the castle. Not long after Baron André and his men arrived at the front door, Wizard Mathieu, wearing a wizard robe, carrying a long-handled black wooden staff, and riding a pack animal, also arrived at the front door. Wizard Mathieu, fully armed, was less vulgar and more profound and majestic as a wizard. "Wizard Mathieu, are you ready? Shall we set off directly?" André asked. "Baron, I'm ready. We can go." Wizard Mathieu nodded. "Okay, the situation is urgent, let's set off first," André said. Then he took the lead and led his soldiers out of the Red Leaf Castle and headed towards the Black Rock Mountains along the road. Wizard Mathieu followed closely on a pack animal. On the other side, in Cane Manor, Lu Feng soon met Baron Andre's guards and listened to him tell what happened in the Black Rock Mountains. Black mist, will you lose consciousness after inhaling it? What a strange thing. After listening to the guard's story, Lu Feng thought about it and found that there were too many extraordinary things that met this condition. During the years in the botanical garden, he did a lot of part-time tasks and saw a lot of such things. Without more information, Lu Feng had no way to judge what the black mist was. My second brother and wizard Mathieu have gone there, it seems that I have to go there too. Lu Feng thought to himself. The Black Rock Mountains are related to the construction of the Wizard Tower. The quarry cannot be started due to the black fog, and it is impossible to mine black rocks. The black rocks in Cane Manor have not been accumulated enough. If the problem is not solved, the planned construction progress will be affected. When can his Wizard Tower be built? Annie, pack up, bring your weapons, and go to the Black Rock Mountains with me. I'll take you to see something nice. Lu Feng ordered, put down the heavy books in his hand, walked into the experiment, and took out his plate armor and weapons and equipment. Lu Feng said it lightly, but when preparing, he prepared directly according to the highest level of danger. The sudden appearance of the black fog this time was a bit weird. Every continent in the wizarding world has a long history. How many civilizations have appeared on this land under your feet, and how many powerful people have lived, are all unknown. When studying in the botanical garden, Lu Feng had a deep understanding. On the seemingly peaceful Trudeau continent, there are always some strange things popping up from time to time. The dark night town that devours life, the folk legend that you can't turn back when you hear the name at night, the beach where you will faint when you hear the song. Weird, traceless things are often extremely dangerous. Make the worst plan, and be fully prepared, and you will definitely be right. Soon, Annie was ready. Wearing a black robe, carrying a big sword on her back, she waited for Lu Feng in the courtyard above the laboratory. Recently, when Annie and Houston were practicing together, she also learned the red leaf swordsmanship passed down by Houston's family. With the blood transformation and the power increase brought by Vajra protection, Annie can use the two-handed sword with ease, and the power is fierce, much stronger than bare hands. This time, the young master asked her to bring a weapon, so Annie put the big sword that Houston gave her when he taught her swordsmanship on her back. Annie waited for a moment, and saw a tall and cold metal monster walking out of the laboratory, exuding a heavy and terrifying aura, causing Annie's scales to explode suddenly. Danger. Annie's body instinctively warned her frantically. Annie, let's go. Listening to the young master's voice coming from the full metal armor, Annie realized that the person in the metal armor was actually Lu Feng. So, this is the young master's true strength? So scary, so powerful. Annie was shocked and muttered in her heart. Look at Lu Feng's full body armor, the black iron shield that protects him, and the nail hammer that overflows with spiritual light, and then look at her thin black robe wrapped around her body and the simple cross sword. Anne felt insecure for no reason. Her fists that could easily beat Houston to pulp were so powerless in front of the young master. She used all her strength, spells, and the cross sword, but she probably couldn't even break through the metal armor in the young master's hand. Is this all you have? Looking at Anne's simple equipment and her fragile appearance, Lu Feng felt a little annoyed. Forget it, it's urgent this time. After dealing with the Black Rock Mountains, I'll teach you how to make some equipment when I come back. As a wizard, life is the most important thing. If you have the ability, you must arm yourself to the teeth. When you are out and about, you never expect what accidents you will encounter. I have a friend who accidentally stepped on a poisonous insect and died while on a mission. Lu Feng rode on the white velociraptor and muttered. His metal armor looked huge, but it was actually not heavy, only more than 200 pounds. The white velociraptor also had the strength of a knight, with a strong load-bearing capacity, and it was not difficult to carry the fully armed Lu Feng. Got it, master. After Annie heard what Lu Feng said, she suddenly felt insecure in her thin black robe. Annie agreed with Lu Feng's point of view. The black wizard who performed the blood transformation on her did not take good protective measures, and was attacked by a test subject of hers and killed without any trouble. If the black wizard had more protection, her body would probably have turned into ashes by now. The white velociraptor ran out of the manor, and Annie followed closely on a black horse. As for Houston, his strength was not good enough, so Lu Feng left him in the manor to look after the house. Approaching the Black Rock Mountains, the vegetation and trees gradually became sparse. Many places in the Black Rock Mountains are basically barren stone mountains. If the architectural value of Black Rock had not been discovered by Hongye town and a quarry was built here, few people would come to the Black Rock Mountains. Knock knock knock. The rapid sound of horse hooves passed through the gradually sparse jungle and came to the Black Rock Mountains. A slightly quiet village appeared at the end of the road. Seeing the iconic flag of Baron Hongye, a group of soldiers from Hongye town who were guarding the entrance of the village finally showed a hint of joy on their anxious faces. Baron Hongye is coming, Baron Hongye is coming, go and inform everyone, we are saved. One of them ran into the village and shouted loudly, and the other soldiers hurried to welcome Baron Hongye's arrival. Hearing the soldiers' shouts, the quiet village became noisy and finally a little lively. The villagers walked out of their homes and went to the entrance of the village to welcome Baron Hongye. Baron Hongye's cavalry stopped at the entrance of the village. The strong soldiers and the Baron's reputation made the entrance of the village quiet, and the villagers felt a little more secure. Especially Matayu, with his white hair and long beard, he looked even more reassuring. Who is the person in charge here? First update. Typing. Chapter 43. It's dark, let's take a rest first. Hearing the Baron's question, a young soldier scratched his head and came out. After saluting, he said, Baron, my name is Dirk. The person in charge here is Uncle Morbin. When exploring the black fog in the quarry, Uncle Morbin accidentally inhaled the black fog and lost consciousness. We pulled his body out, and he is still unconscious. The young man named Dirk reported to Baron Andre nervously. Baron Andre listened to Dirk's words, frowned slightly, and looked at the bare Black Rock Mountain in the distance. The barren mountain under the setting sun seemed to be shrouded in an ominous atmosphere. Looking at the front, the villagers gathered at the entrance of the village all looked overly frightened, and there was no order in the mess. After the group dismounted, Baron Andre immediately took the initiative to introduce the wizard Matayu to the villagers. This is Wizard Matayu, who has great strength and rich experience. I specially invited him this time to help everyone solve the black fog problem in the quarry. With the help of the honorable wizard, the problem will definitely be solved within 3 days. After hearing Baron Andre's introduction, the villagers gathered at the entrance of the village all turned their eyes to Wizard Matayu. Seeing the kind image and powerful strength that made people feel good, the villagers who were originally panicked felt relieved, as if they had a backbone. Welcome, Master Wizard. With Master Wizard here, we will definitely be safe. Please, Master Wizard, save my son, he is also unconscious because of the black fog. Please, Master Wizard, save my husband. Wizard Matayu cooperated with Baron Andre to calm the villagers' emotions. After the villagers' emotions stabilized, they also listened to the Baron's orders to go home and wait. After the gathered villagers left, Baron Andre took Wizard Matayu and, under the leadership of Dirk, came to yard in the village. Baron, Wizard, we have gathered all the people in the village who are unconscious because of the black fog in this yard. There are 13 people in total. 7 of them are quarrying workers. They were the first to encounter the black fog. When the black fog sprayed out from the cracks in the rocks, they inhaled some of it and ran away in fear. They fainted after a few steps and were carried back by other workers. The remaining 6 people were warriors who volunteered to explore the black fog. They all fainted after a few breaths after entering the black fog. They were tied with ropes and rescued. Dirk narrated. As Dirk entered the house, Andre and Matayu saw 13 people lying on the big bunk bed, lying neatly on the bed, breathing quietly. Their faces were normal, and people who didn't know the truth would think they were just asleep. But in Dirk's introduction, these 13 people could not be woken up no matter what. Wizard Matayu, please help me. Baron Andre stood aside and gave his seat to Matayu, saying. Just from the appearance, Andre could not see any problems. The strange phenomenon was beyond his cognition, so he could only ask the more professional Wizard Matayu to come. Hearing this, Wizard Matayu nodded and walked to the bed to check the 13 unconscious people. As a wizard of the undead system, Matayu also has some research on the human body. However, the more Matayu checked, the more solemn his face became. That's not right. There is no problem with the bones, the flesh and blood, and the black fog has not caused any damage to their bodies, but why are they unconscious? Did the black fog affect their souls? Wizard Matayu frowned, realizing that the strange black fog encountered this time might be dangerous. Looking around, there were still many people there, and Matayu gave the Baron a look. The Baron understood immediately, and immediately fooled the others out by saying that the wizard needed a quiet place to treat them. Andre, these people are not physically injured, but they are unconscious now. I am afraid that their souls are affected by the black fog. When it comes to the soul, this matter is serious. Andre didn't know much about wizards, but he also knew the importance of the soul to a person. When he saw the solemnity on the face of the wizard Matthew, he immediately realized that something was wrong and said tentatively, "You mean, we may not be able to save this person, and even the people in this village will be affected? Well, for the specific conclusion, I still need to see the black fog. Only by verifying some things in person can I draw the final conclusion. But I really can't do anything about these people." Alice. Andre shook his head and sighed. "What can I do?" Baron Andre whispered, sighed, and his face was full of helplessness. After a while, the two walked out of the room, and their faces had returned to normal. Wizard Matthew looked at Dirk and said, "It's still early. I'll go to Black Rock Mountain to explore the black fog before it gets dark. Your name is Dirk, right? Show me the way." "Master Wizard, are you sure you want to go to Black Rock Mountain now? It's dark now. Will it affect your exploration?" Young Dirk said seriously. "Yes, Master Wizard, it's dark now. Do you want to take a rest and go to the mountain to explore tomorrow?" Not only Dirk, but also the soldiers next to him and the villagers in the courtyard said that it was dark when they heard Matthew's words. "Nonsense, it's obviously dark. Forget it. I'll go to the mountain tomorrow." Wizard Matthew was about to refute, but suddenly he was in a trance. When he looked up at the sky again, it was already pitch black. The lights in the courtyard had been lit, so he stopped insisting. At the villagers' invitation, Matthew, Baron Andre, and a group of soldiers who had arrived also entered the courtyard and began to rest. Knock, knock, knock. With the sound of horse hooves, Lu Feng led Annie to the edge of the Black Rock Mountains before the sun went down. The village of the quarry was right in front of them. Lu Feng pulled the reins to stop the white velociraptor, and Annie, who was following closely, also reined in her horse and stopped. "Master, the village is almost here. Why are we stopping here? Let's go quickly. It will be dark when we get to the village later," Annie asked Lu Feng with a puzzled tone. Under Annie's urging, Lu Feng did not move forward, but slowly turned his head and looked at Annie. The cold eyes fell on Annie's face through the mask of the armor, making Annie feel hairy all over. "Master, what's wrong? Did I say something wrong? It will be dark soon." Facing Lu Feng's gaze, Annie was at a loss and said more puzzledly. Just when Annie was uncomfortable being looked at by Lu Feng moved, and the tall metal monster showed a different kind of agility in Annie's eyes. Before Annie could react, a nail hammer fell on her head. In an instant, Annie, wrapped in a black robe, was smashed to pieces by Lu Feng's hammer, and blood and flesh splattered everywhere. Lu Feng was not moved by the bloody scene, but just looked up at the sky. The sky, I don't know when, it has become dark. Chapter 2, End today. Chapter 44. The monster is actually me. Sure enough, it must be right to plan for the worst every time. This time, I'm lucky to have the space gate in my mind, otherwise I'm afraid I would be lost here like everyone else. Looking at the dark sky, Lu Feng sighed. The black fog that appeared in the Black Rock Mountains was extremely strange. On his helmet, the zero-level spell, Awakening, was engraved, but it still couldn't resist the invasion of the black fog. If Lu Feng hadn't habitually looked at the space gate deep in his consciousness every 10 minutes, he would have been really frightened by the dreamland after the invasion of the black fog. The space gate is located deep in Lu Feng's consciousness, and it never moves. When watching the space gate, Lu Feng's consciousness approached the space gate. The dreamland created by the black fog could not affect Lu Feng's consciousness, and suddenly what he saw was deviated. Annie, who was inseparable from him, turned into a ball of black fog. In the village in the distance, a giant tree grew between the walls of the houses. It was pitch black, with branches shaped like bones and leaves shaped like ghost hands. In every leaf, there is a hideous human face. The shadows of the tree swayed, and the leaves swayed in the wind, making a series of shrill sounds like ghosts crying and wolves howling, which made people upset. The black sky I saw just now was just the shadow of the giant tree. Under the dark shadow of the tree, Annie was smashed by Lu Feng, and the blood and flesh splattered quickly turned into black mist, slowly dissipating in front of Lu Feng's eyes. Wow wow wow. Lu Feng's ruthless move attracted the attention of the black giant tree. On the leaves swaying in the wind, The sounds coming from the faces inside suddenly changed, as if they were angry, screaming. Crack, crack. The sound of doors opening rang out, and the wooden doors in the village in the shadow of the black giant tree slowly opened, and figures came out one after another. Baron Andre, Wizard Mateo, Cadio, the captain of the cavalry, Morban, the head of the quarry, Dirk, and the villagers in the village, and the soldiers brought by the Baron. Led by the Baron and Wizard Mateo, these people gathered and came to the entrance of the village. Seeing Lu Feng, everyone was terrified and shouted, "The monster is coming! The monster is coming! The monster is coming in the black fog! Lord Baron, Lord Wizard, you must save us!" Someone was terrified. "Don't worry, the honorable Wizard Mateo and many soldiers will definitely kill the monster. Don't worry, we will go together later." The Baron encouraged morale. Did they think I was an invading monster? Interesting. Lu Feng muttered. He knew that these were all the black giant trees in the village, but seeing familiar faces treating him as a monster, he couldn't help but feel a little strange in his heart. However, Lu Feng did not stop because of these faces. He raised his big shield and held the hammer in his hand. He kept his pace and rushed to the crowd gathered at the entrance of the village. "The monster is coming. Let's go." Seeing the monster rushing up, the Baron in the crowd led his soldiers and shouted to charge forward. The villagers also followed with farm tools under the encouragement of the Barons leading by example. Wizard Mateo did not charge with a main force, but stood still, holding a long black wooden staff and chanting, casting a spell. Resurrection of the dead, a gray-white spiritual light fell on the land beside Mateo, and in an instant, more than a dozen pale skeletons holding bone swords emerged from the land, surpassing everyone with brisk steps and rushing to attack Lu Feng first. Facing more than a dozen pale skeletons, Lu Feng raised the hammer in his hand slightly, and a dazzling light burst out from the hammerhead. In an instant, the hammer in his hand turned into a small sun. Small light mantra, the scorching light shone on the pale skeleton, and light and darkness collided violently. The skeletons summoned by Wizard Mateo were obviously no match for Lu Feng's light spell. After a few breaths, the white skeletons were burned by the golden light and bursts of black smoke. The speed slowed down, and the white skeletons rushed to Lu Feng, and their strength was burned by 50% to 60%. Lu Feng rushed forward with his shield raised. With just one strike, he knocked more than a dozen skeletons into pieces, causing their bones to fly and scatter all over the ground. Before the skeletons on the ground could gather themselves together, another golden light shone on them. This time, the skeletons that had been repeatedly injured were unable to resist the light, and they were burned to ashes in the light in an instant. When Lu Feng finished dealing with the skeletons, he followed closely behind the skeletons, and the Baron and his group who were charging up also came in front of him. The savage elephant breathing technique was in operation, and Baron Andre stretched out his body like a savage elephant, with a fierce momentum. He jumped high and swung his sword to chop Lu Feng down on the head. It is no exaggeration to say that if this sword had hit him, even a suit of iron armor would have been split in half by Baron Andre's sword. However, there was only a slight sound of dang. Lu Feng raised his shield forward and effortlessly blocked Baron Andre's sword that was determined to win. How is it possible? How can the monster be so strong? The great sword was rebounded by the shield and raised high. The power of the recoil made the Baron's hands numb instantly. His face showed shock and fear, and he exclaimed in disbelief. The next moment, the Baron had no time to think. A thick hammer enlarged in his eyes. When Lu Feng raised his shield to block, he stepped forward and sent out the hammer in his hand, smashing the Baron's head. When Lu Feng smashed the Baron's head, the villagers and soldiers behind the Baron followed closely and surrounded Lu Feng. The chaotic weapons hit Lu Feng's body from all directions. But apart from making bursts of iron-making sounds, it did not cause any harm to Lu Feng. Lu Feng's metal plate armor was made by him with a lot of effort and magic stones. It can resist the spells of second-class apprentices. It is wishful thinking for some soldiers and villagers who are not even knights to want to break his armor. Okay, everyone is here, one wave. Vines entangled. Surrounded by people, Lu Feng was not panicked at all. A green light bloomed from the top of the hammer, and in an instant, green vines surged from Lu Feng's body and shot out in all directions. The soldiers and villagers who tightly surrounded him were instantly pierced by the vines. Blood and meat splattered, forming a bloody and terrifying slaughterhouse, killing everyone. After walking out of the crowd, the bloody scene soon turned into black mist and dissipated. The wizard Mateo, who was still casting spells, had long disappeared, When Lu Feng was killing people everywhere, the wizard Mataiyu stopped casting spells and fled into the village in a panic, disappearing in the shadow of the black giant tree. Lu Feng, who was always paying attention to the caster, naturally saw the figure of Mataiyu fleeing in a panic. Is Wizard Mataiyu still conscious? It seems that the black fog is only strong enough this time. Lu Feng murmured, and walked towards the village in the shadow of the giant tree. First update. Chapter 45, The Dead Tree and the Living Man. Before entering the village, two streams of yin qi flew from afar. One was a ghost, and the other was the residual soul of monk Hujing. As soon as he found the problem, Lu Feng released the two ghosts he had subdued to explore the surroundings. One was to find a way out, and the other was to obtain more information. If you stay away from the giant tree, you will slowly enter a black fog. You can't get out, and if you force yourself to go deep, you will be exhausted. Lu Feng thought about receiving the information explored by the ghost. Lu Feng thought he was knowledgeable about such a strange and weird place, but this was the first time he encountered it. And how did I get in here? I have no impression at all. Where did Annie, second brother, and Wizard Mataiyu go? All kinds of mysteries made him feel very uneasy. However, the only thing that made him feel fortunate was that the existence that constructed this strange place seemed to be not strong. The black fog puppet that attacked him just now had similar strength to their own strength. Soldiers are soldiers, and villagers are villagers. The Baron practiced the savage elephant breathing method, but it still couldn't change the fact that he was weak. The only thing that made Lu Feng feel a little strange was Wizard Mataiyu. The others seemed to be fooled by the Baron's words and followed the Baron to charge, but Lu Feng could clearly feel that the others were just blindly following the Baron. They were like a group of puppets, controlled by the existence in the dark. The Wizard Mataiyu, who only cast a spell and turned around to run away, seemed to be different from the others and had obvious subjective consciousness. Could it be that Mataiyu is a second-class wizard apprentice and has stronger mental power than others, so he has a little consciousness left? Facing danger, he instinctively chooses to take actions that are beneficial to himself. There is still too little information about the mysterious black fog, and Lu Feng can only guess based on experience. Walking into the shadow of the pitch-black giant tree, the village appeared in front of Lu Feng. The village without people was particularly quiet, and only the sound of the leaves of the giant tree rubbing against each other echoed in the air. Walking into the village, Lu Feng looked up and stared at the tall pitch-black giant tree. With the protection of the space gate, Lu Feng saw that the other people and the village in front of him were all made up of black air, but only the pitch-black giant tree did not change. It was still huge and still exuded a majestic momentum. It looked like a pitch-black giant tree, and that was its original appearance. It seems that the root of everything is this giant tree in front of me, but this tree is so big, can I beat it? Lu Feng was full of doubts. When he was thinking about what to do next, a voice suddenly came from the courtyard next to him. Who are you? Why are you here? Are you here to investigate the black fog as well? The wizard Mataiyu poked his head out from the wall of the courtyard and asked Lu Feng carefully. Huh? Lu Feng turned his head and his eyes fell on the wizard Mataiyu. He was puzzled by his appearance, but he did not attack him. He just raised his shield and made a defensive posture. Seeing that Lu Feng did not attack, Mataiyu became happy and said quickly, Don't do it, listen to me first. We are in an illusion space. Those people just now were confused by the owner of this place. If I were not a necromancer, I would often carry a few skulls with me, and put the ghosts around, and have a few more perspectives to see the world, so I could resist the illusion here. I have been here for a few days, carefully explored, and found out a lot about the situation here. In addition to those people just now, there is only a black giant tree here. The tree has no other abilities and is very weak. I have used the ghost to test it, and the ghost was not attacked when it touched the giant tree. If you have the ability, you can go and try it. The giant tree may be the key to breaking this illusion. Lu Feng listened to Mataiyu's words, and he was skeptical. Mataiyu in front of him, in his eyes, was still made of a ball of black fog. I am Rest, can't you see what I look like? What do I look like in your eyes? Lu Feng thought for a while and asked. Oh, it's Rest. We met not long ago, of course I remember. Before Mataiyu finished speaking, Lu Feng's figure had moved in front of Mataiyu, and the big shield broke through the wall of the courtyard and hit Mataiyu hard. A huge force came, and Mataiyu's body flew up out of thin air. Before it fell, the hammer in Lu Feng's hand followed and hit Mataiyu's head. The huge head was instantly torn into pieces, and blood and flesh splattered. Remember shit, Matai, you dare not talk to me like this. It seems that you can't check their memories. Is that what I said? Lu Feng ignored Matai, who was broken into pieces on the ground, turned his head suddenly, and cast his eyes to the side. At some point, the towering black tree standing in the village had come to his side. The originally tall black tree shrank to the size of a person when it came to Lu Feng. The branches and leaves became hair, the trunk became a face, and the roots became legs, turning into a black tree man with a strange appearance. Wow, wow, wow. The tree man's distorted face opened its mouth, and strange sound waves came out of it, attacking Lu Feng. There was a confusing power in the sound waves. If a third-class wizard apprentice heard it, he would be fascinated by this tree man. Lu Feng listened to it, but there was no change at all. With a space gate protecting his soul core, Lu Feng just felt a little uncomfortable listening to the tree man's sound waves. As soon as the tree man made a move, Lu Feng's counterattack followed. In the courtyard, I don't know when, a layer of mist has appeared in the air. Lu Feng held a nail hammer, and an emerald green magic aura spread. In order to deal with this weird tree man, Lu Feng cooperated with a water mist spell that had been arranged by his side for a long time, and as soon as he made a move, he used his strongest combination spell. Seed of Life, the emerald green aura spread, and the dark tree man's face suddenly became more distorted and hideous. Tiny seeds absorbed the emerald green magic aura and water vapor, and sprouted and took root on the tree man's body. The roots penetrated into the tree man's bark, absorbing nutrients from the tree man's body with all their strength, competing to show the world the greatness of life. Under the attack of the Seed of Life, the pitch-black tree man screamed. Its trunk became dry at a speed visible to the naked eye. The tree man was terrified and wanted to pull out the plant sprouting from its body, but no matter how it pulled, it was useless. After a moment, the pitch-black tree man had already turned into a pile of ashes while being absorbed by many plants. The pitch-black tree man was weaker than Lu Feng expected. Just a Seed of Life was enough to get rid of the pitch-black tree man. When the tree man died, the whole world began to shake. Boom. The violent sound was endless. Lu Feng saw that everything in the world was collapsing, the sky was collapsing, the earth was sinking, and the village was dissipating. Then his head sank and he lost consciousness. When Lu Feng regained consciousness, a familiar voice came to his ears. Master, are you awake? Second update. This chapter is not well written. If you have any opinions, please feel free to share them. Chapter 46, The Disappearing Black Fog. Wood. Hearing the familiar voice, Lu Feng quickly woke up and opened his eyes. Annie, his second brother Andre, Matai and others were all there, looking at him with pale faces, all worried about his safety. The metal plate armor was too hard, and it was also blessed with a protective spell. With Matai's reminder, no one dared to touch Lu Feng. His face was covered by the metal visor, and there was no way to detect his condition. When Lu Feng woke up, took off the visor, and saw his face, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. It's good that he's okay. It's good that he's okay. Lu Feng stood up, without any injuries on his body, but he was a little tired. Looking at the people around him, Lu Feng asked, What happened when I lost consciousness? Did you lose consciousness too? Hearing this, Annie was the first to answer, Master, I seemed to have a dream just now. I dreamed that we were walking towards the village, and then I was hit to death by you with a hammer. After I died in the dream, I woke up and found you lying on the ground, unconscious. Then I carried you into the village, and other people in the village woke up one after another. After Annie finished speaking, Baron Andre and others also told their experiences just now. In a daze, it seemed like a dream, fighting a monster to protect the village. The monster was too powerful, and they were all destroyed. As soon as they said it, everyone realized that they seemed to have the same dream. Is this not a dream? Such questions inevitably arose in everyone's mind, and they turned to look at Lu Feng, trying to get the answer from him. After all, Lu Feng is a wizard, and the most powerful wizard here. Listening to the almost unified answers of everyone, Lu Feng had a guess in his heart. Just now, everyone should have been sucked into a special space by the strange black fog. The pitch-black giant tree is the master of that space, controlling the black fog to condense everything in the special space, the village houses, and the bodies of everyone. The spirits that were sucked in were also controlled by the pitch-black giant tree and possessed by the body condensed by the black fog. Lu Feng had the treasure, space gate, to protect his consciousness, so he got rid of the control of the pitch-black giant tree, while the others became puppets of the pitch-black giant tree and acted under its control. When Lu Feng found something wrong and killed everyone, everyone got rid of the mental control of the pitch-black giant tree, escaped from the special space, and returned to the body of the outside world. The order in which Annie and others woke up was basically in accordance with the order in which Lu Feng killed them, which also proved this point. But Lu Feng still had many questions in his mind. What exactly is that special space? What's the use of sucking away everyone's spirit and soul and controlling them as puppets to live in a special space? Why did the special space collapse directly after Lu Feng killed the pitch-black giant tree? All kinds of questions piled up in Lu Feng's heart, making him very uncomfortable. The unknown is often the most frightening. Lu Feng thought he was not very capable and was used to acting according to his heart. Without figuring out the reasons for the formation of the black fog and the special space, Lu Feng was worried about how to deal with it if such a special space came back. Just as Lu Feng was thinking about what to do next, suddenly someone shouted outside the door, "The black fog disappeared. The black fog in the quarry disappeared. The black fog disappeared." The words from the outside made everyone in the room happy, and it seemed that a heavy burden was put down in their hearts. Everyone thought that all the weirdness was caused by the black fog that appeared in the quarry. Now that the black fog has disappeared, maybe the source of the weirdness has been solved. The quarry in the Black Rock Mountains will be able to resume work soon. Lu Feng heard this and came outside. He saw a young villager standing on the roof of the courtyard, looking towards the direction of the Black Rock Mountains, with uncontrollable joy on his face. Lu Feng jumped onto the roof, came to the young villager, and said, "Where's the location where the black fog appeared? Point it out to me." Lu Feng stood beside him, and the young villager suddenly became nervous and said with a little stuttering, "Wizard, the place where the black fog appeared is on the mountainside, under a protruding rock. I was working nearby at the time and saw the black fog coming out from there with my own eyes. I remember it very clearly." Looking in the direction of the young man's finger, under the protruding rock in the early morning sun, it was clean and there was no trace of abnormal things. Not only the place the young man mentioned, but also other places near the quarrying site. Lu Feng scanned it and did not find any abnormal places. The black fog, has it really been solved? After confirming that the black fog has really disappeared, Lu Feng is still a little worried. "Mate Tianyu, Annie and I will go to the place where the black fog appeared and explore it carefully to prevent future troubles." After noting the location, Lu Feng jumped off the roof and returned to the yard and said, "Okay, young master." Annie replied, "No problem." Matthew nodded and agreed with Lu Feng's approach. The three of them, all of whom were in good physical condition, walked out of the village quickly. In 2 or 3 minutes, they arrived at the place where the young man pointed out that the black smoke had appeared before, under the protruding rock. This place was pure black rock, with no vegetation and no mosquitoes or flies. And looked through the dark rock pile and did not find anything strange. Matthew observed it for a while, frowned, and scanned the black rock with his mental power. Everything seemed normal, but he felt a little weird. But when he wanted to describe it, he felt something indescribable. "Be careful, there is something wrong here." "But I can't say it," Wizard Matthew reminded Anne. "Indeed, there is something abnormal here." Lu Feng also released his mental power to scan and sense this place. Soon he saw something that Matthew did not find. After careful confirmation, Lu Feng picked the right place, raised the hammer in his hand, and smashed it on the black rock under his feet. Under Lu Feng's great strength and hard hammer, the hard black rock was as brittle as tofu, and the rock chips were flying. And Matthew saw Lu Feng's actions and came to help. After a few minutes, the three of them worked together to dig out a cave about 2 meters deep. With a crisp sound like metal hitting each other, Lu Feng's hammer, which was as hard as crushing rocks, hit an extremely hard object and could not move forward. "What is this? It's harder than your hammer." Matthew and Anne also looked at the corner of the object. Lu Feng judged from the corner of the black rock that this extremely hard object was a piece of black wood. Lu Feng couldn't help but think of the black giant tree he saw standing in the center of the village in the special space. Could this piece of wood be related to the black giant tree? First update. Please wait for the next update. Chapter 47, The Land of Ghosts, Ghost Tree Fragments. While Lu Feng was thinking, Annie, who was staring at the black wood, suddenly turned pale. "Master, this thing seems to absorb my mental power. My head hurts." Annie screamed and turned her head away quickly, no longer looking at the black wood. After enduring the headache, Annie climbed out of the cave and felt a little better. Staring at the wood, Matthew also felt a little pressure and said, "Rester, let's dig this thing out quickly and find a way to deal with it. This thing is too weird. It can actually absorb mental power." Feng also noticed the strange ability of the black wood to absorb mental power. He nodded and accelerated with Matthew to dig the black wood. When he dug 3/4 of the way, Matthew couldn't hold on anymore and climbed out of the cave wailing. While digging, Feng gradually felt a little pressure. Fortunately, he was much stronger than Matthew, and the pressure was still within his tolerance. After another 10 minutes, with a ding-ding sound, the black wood finally broke away from the black rock and was exposed to the outside, showing its full appearance to Feng. The dark wood had strange purple patterns on its surface, swirling and outlining hideous ghost faces. It was exactly the same as the pattern on the bark of the dark giant tree that Feng had seen in the special space. Could it be that the dark giant tree really existed, and the piece of wood in front of him was the debris that fell from the giant tree? Feng guessed. In the extraordinary plant knowledge he had seen and learned in the botanical garden, there was no existence with the same characteristics as this piece of tree. There was no way to know the origin of this giant tree. The wood was very heavy. A piece of wood was only half a person's length, as thick as a wash basin, and Feng felt that it weighed 300 or 400 kilograms in his hands. He waved his arm and signaled Annie and Matthew to be careful, and threw the black wood out of the cave. He also jumped out. "How is it? Have you seen relevant information about this kind of wood?" Feng asked Matthew, who had also studied in the White Bone Cemetery, and might have a record of this piece of wood in the book he read. Hearing this, Matthew resisted the consuming of his mental energy and observed the lines on the surface of the black wood. After a moment, Matthew moved away from the black wood, recalled carefully, and said, "I have indeed seen the lines on the surface of this piece of wood in a travelogue in the library of the White Bone Cemetery. It really is." Feng's eyes lit up, and he quickly asked, "Tell me, what kind of tree is this? I only remember that a travelogue recorded the characteristics similar to this one, and I have never seen such a plant in the enchanted plant illustrations, and what the travelogue says may not be accurate." Matthew was afraid that Feng would be disappointed, so he gave him a shot in advance, and then talked about what was recorded in the travelogue. Legend has it that at the junction of the sky and the sea, there is a country of ghosts. The people of this country live in a dark land and have never seen the sun. They worship a ghost tree as a sacred tree, believing that the sacred tree gave them life, food and everything. They live under the tree when they are alive and are buried under the roots of the tree when they die. Every time a person is buried, the ghost tree will grow a leaf with the face of the dead on it. After life and death, the ghost tree has grown into a towering giant tree, with branches and leaves extending into the clouds and roots digging into the underground magma. In the world of the ghost country, the ghost tree has become the tree of the world. One day, the ghost country was discovered by a wizard, and then the ghost country was gone. What's below? What else? Annie listened attentively, and when she saw that Matthew had stopped, she asked. Matthew touched his beard, paused, and replied, "There is really nothing below, and this is all that is recorded in the travel notes." However, Feng could guess a little about the follow-up, and added it to Annie. Since it has been discovered by the wizard, the ghost country has only two outcomes. If they are sensible, they will surrender to the invading wizard, accept the wizard's rule, and still be able to save their lives. If they are not sensible, they will fight back desperately, people will die, trees will be destroyed, the country will be destroyed, and the world will be destroyed. Looking at the fragment, it is estimated that the ghost tree that guards the ghost country should have fought with the invading wizard, and the result is obvious. So the wizard is so powerful. The powerful wizard described in the travel notes made Annie smack her lips. Obviously, the wizard won and the ghost tree lost. The fragment in front of me is probably a piece of skin that fell from the huge body of the ghost tree. I don't know what kind of changes it has experienced in the times, and it was finally buried in the rocks of the Black Rock Mountains. Then there are quarry workers in Hongye town working here, and the invisible spiritual power is emitted, which is absorbed by this ghost tree fragment and stimulates its ability. The black fog was born, and there is also that special space. This series of troubles has been brought about. After roughly figuring out the origin of this piece of wood and the source of the black fog, there is another more troublesome thing that appeared in front of the three people. How to deal with this piece of wood. Matthew asked a key question. He cast a spell to summon a skeleton, and chopped the wood with a bone sword. The wood did not move at all, but the skeleton's bone sword was broken. Other undead spells hit the ghost tree head, but had no effect at all, but the lines on the wood turned slightly purple, as if absorbing the energy of the spell and charging the fragments. Matthew was so scared that he stopped immediately and spread his hands to indicate that there was no way out, and he could only leave it to Lu Feng. Hearing this, Lu Feng replied, "I have a rough way to deal with it. It just so happens that I am also going to build a wizard tower. When the time comes, I will put this piece of wood in the wizard tower, and we will study it and deal with it. If there is really no other way, I can also ask my teacher. This special plant will definitely satisfy her." Although he said so, Lu Feng had other ideas in his heart. When he was looking for the abnormality here, he used the Greenwood Longevity Sutra and sensed the rich wood energy under the rock, and then found the abnormality. Now, after confirming the origin of the wood, how to deal with it, the first thing Lu Feng thought of was to extract the rich wood energy from the wood and use it to cultivate the dead seed of the energy-absorbing ancient tree. A bird in the hand is worth 100 birds in the forest. He has been practicing the King Mu Chang Sheng Sutra for some time, and 69 acupoints have been opened. He is about to become a top-grade Taoist child. But his natal spiritual plant, the dead seed of the energy-absorbing ancient tree, is still a seed. With the nourishment of his large amount of mana and blood and spirit, the vitality in the dead seed is already very rich. But it seems that it has reached a bottleneck period. No matter how Lu Feng feeds it, the dead seed can't break through that barrier and take root and sprout. Now that he has encountered this piece of ghost tree debris, the rich wood energy in it inevitably makes Lu Feng have more ideas. With the help of this wood energy, the dead seed may be able to go one step further. Second update. Chapter 48, Dealing with the Ghost Tree Fragments. Lu Feng was thinking about how to deal with the ghost tree debris. He did not stop. Together with Matthew, he made a stone box with black rock and put the ghost tree debris in it. Lu Feng cast a spell to temporarily seal it. The natural power emitted by the ghost tree debris will absorb people's spirit. Lu Feng and Matthew are wizards and can resist for a while, but Annie can only hold on for a few seconds. Not to mention Baron Andre, who has weaker mental power than them, and ordinary people in the quarry. It is estimated that if they take a look at the ghost tree fragments, their spirits will be attracted and fall into the ghost tree fragments and become unconscious. A team of white skeleton soldiers summoned by the wizard Matthew returned to the village where they rested, carrying heavy stone boxes. Their ostentatious actions immediately attracted the attention of the villagers and the Baron. Baron Andre, the source of the black fog in the quarry, has been found and eliminated by wizard rest. We will completely destroy the scourge to prevent future troubles. At Lu Feng's signal, Annie stepped forward to inform Baron Andre of the cause and effect of the black fog. Knowing that wizard rest had helped the quarry solve a crisis, the villagers of the quarry smiled and sincerely thanked wizard rest. If it weren't for the white skeleton soldiers carrying stone boxes, which were too weird and creepy, and Rest's metal armor was too powerful, the villagers of the quarry would probably surround Lu Feng with joy. After solving the black fog crisis in the quarry, thinking about dealing with the ghost tree debris, Lu Feng said goodbye to his second brother. The villagers were reluctant to see the two wizards leave, and persuaded them to stay and hold a banquet before leaving. Lu Feng decisively refused because the source of the black fog needed to be dealt with as soon as possible. After watching the three people and a team of skeletons carrying stone boxes gradually disappear from sight, Baron Andre and his men stayed behind to appease the villagers and resume the operation of the quarry as soon as possible. They walked very fast when they came, but they slowed down when they returned because of the drag of the rock box. However, the skeletons have no physical limit when running, and they don't need to rest like beasts of burden. Without stopping for a moment, Lu Feng and his men set out in the morning and arrived at Kane Manor in the evening. After sending off the wizard Matthew, Lu Feng moved the ghost wood debris into the underground laboratory for temporary storage. Although he instinctively knew that this piece of ghost tree debris was a good thing, considering other factors, Matthew directly assumed that this piece of ghost tree debris was Lu Feng's thing and did not consider the distribution. In this strange incident, it can be said that his life was saved by Lu Feng. This piece of wood debris is just a dead thing. How can it compare to the grace of saving his life? Besides, on the way back, Lu Feng had agreed to Matthew's request to join Hongye town. In the future, he will make a living under Lu Feng. If Lu Feng really gets the benefit, how can he be left out? Annie is a somewhat special ordinary person. Working under Lu Feng, she is trained by Lu Feng to become stronger and stronger. After all, he is also a well-qualified and veteran second-class wizard apprentice. How can he do badly in the future? Matayu saw a bright future. Because of the characteristics of the ghost tree debris, Lu Feng did not allow Annie to enter the laboratory to work after moving it into the underground laboratory. Annie, who is weak, is easily affected by the ghost tree debris. At the least, she will feel dizzy and fatigued, and at the worst, she will lose consciousness and fall into coma. Standing alone in the laboratory and looking at the crowded underground laboratory, Lu Feng wanted to build his own apprentice version of the wizard tower more urgently. He picked up some materials and arranged the experimental table a little to block the ghost tree fragments from absorbing mental power. Lu Feng's laboratory was built in the basement of Cane Manor. There were many servants active in the manor. In addition, the construction side of the wizard tower was under construction recently, so more people gathered in this area. There were many more villagers than the villagers in the Black Rock Mountain Quarry. Without taking some protective measures, Lu Feng was worried that the strange black fog would come back here. After 3 or 4 hours of hard work, Lu Feng finally arranged protective measures to isolate the ghost tree debris at night. After a night's rest, the next morning, Lu Feng couldn't wait to study the ghost tree debris. After trying various methods, such as chopping with a knife, smashing with a hammer, burning with fire, acid corrosion, and spell attack, Lu Feng came to the conclusion with disappointment that with his current strength, he could not split the ghost tree fragment. He could only secretly say it was a pity. The ghost tree fragment was extremely hard and had the property of absorbing spiritual power. It had been dead for an unknown amount of time, and a small piece of wood fragment actually had a lot of wood energy left. From the small details, Lu Feng could no longer imagine how powerful the ghost tree had been. Of course, it was even more difficult to imagine the wizard who smashed the powerful ghost tree into pieces. Such a powerful wizard who could travel through the world and conquer the plane was the guiding light of Lu Feng's life. It was a pity that all such good things were fed to the dead species of the energy-absorbing ancient tree. If it could be divided and some left to make some equipment and weapons, it would definitely be a life-saving item at the bottom of the box. But since it couldn't be divided, Lu Feng didn't bother with it. Take out the dead seed of the energy-absorbing ancient tree. The egg-sized dead seed of the energy-absorbing ancient tree originally had an uneven brown shell like a fossil. During Lu Feng's time, it has become rounded under the nourishment of the Qingmu Changsheng Sutra. On the smooth shell, there are faint mysterious lines, telling the extraordinary nature of this seed. When the dead seed of the energy-absorbing ancient tree was first sacrificed and refined into Lu Feng's life spirit plant, it was just endlessly demanding. But in the current state of the dead seed, Lu Feng no longer has the pressure to provide it. However, the dead seed of the energy-absorbing ancient tree has not really gotten rid of the word death and sprouted to become a real life. It brings very little feedback to Lu Feng, at most making Lu Feng's practice of the Qingmu Changsheng Sutra smoother. Lu Feng activated his magic power and carried the dead seed onto the dark ghost tree fragments. The dead seed had no real life and no spiritual power. The ghost tree's ability to absorb spiritual power could not affect the seed. However, due to the ghost tree's characteristics before its death, the wood fragments contained a force of death in addition to the rich wood energy. The dead seed, which was full of vitality, faintly rejected this force. Approaching the ghost tree fragments, Lu Feng pressed his hand on the dark wood near the dead seed. The magic power of the Qingmu Changsheng Sutra flowed along his arm into the ghost tree fragments. Soon, Lu Feng's magic power touched a dark green wood energy as hard as gold and iron in the ghost tree fragments. According to the method of collecting the energy of plants and trees in the Qingmu Changsheng Sutra, Lu Feng operated his magic power to connect with the rich wood energy in the ghost tree fragments. After grinding and prying with all his strength, Lu Feng spent half an hour to pry off a wisp of wood energy as big as a grain of rice. He carefully wrapped it with magic power and brought out the ghost tree fragments. Suddenly, a fresh fragrance of grass and trees burst out. Lu Feng just smelled it and felt relaxed and energetic. The mana in his body could not help but circulate faster. This ghost tree fragment is really a good thing. Lu Feng exclaimed with shining eyes. First update. I asked today and this book has been read 1,600 times. Thank you for your support. Come on. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49. Cultivate the dead species and popularize the breathing method. This bit of wood energy is really high quality. If I practice it directly, I should be able to improve the cultivation of Qingmu Chang Sheng Jing by a small step and open 3 or 4 more acupoints. However, Lu Feng restrained his thoughts of refining it and sent it into the dead seed of the energy-absorbing ancient tree. If he absorbed it by himself, at most he would open a few more acupoints and increase his mana. His cultivation of Qingmu Chang Sheng Jing is still that of a Taoist child, without any fundamental changes. It is better to feed the wood energy to the dead seed and let the dead seed germinate as soon as possible. The core of the practice of Qingmu Chang Sheng Jing is to cultivate the natal spirit plant. The strength and growth of the natal spirit plant can bring feedback and blessings to the practitioner. Rare and powerful spirit plants can improve the qualifications of the practitioner and pave the way for the practitioner's future earthly immortal path. It is better to be happy for a while and happy for a lifetime. Lu Feng knows best which is more important. Limited by the third-class wizard qualifications, he has not become a formal wizard for most of his life. Lu Feng understands the pain and torture of poor qualifications. Watching apprentices younger than him become official wizards, becoming beings that he needs to look up to and pay respect to. That kind of pain, how unforgettable, only Lu Feng himself knows it best. Without thinking any more, Lu Feng sent the wood energy absorbed by his magic power to the dead seed of the energy-absorbing ancient tree. As if smelling the rich fragrance of the wood energy, the dead seed absorbed it as soon as it approached. After absorbing the wood energy, the mysterious patterns on the surface of the dead seed slowly lit up, as if digesting the wood energy. Lu Feng, who was closely connected with it, also felt that the dead seed was slowly getting stronger and more vigorous. But that was all. Just a wisp of wood energy was not enough to make the dead seed undergo a huge change. After observing the changes in the dead seed, Lu Feng shook his head and said, "It seems that a wisp of wood energy is not enough. I have to absorb more. I have a lot of work to do." After that, Lu Feng continued to use his magic power to absorb the wood energy from the ghost tree fragments to feed the dead seed of the energy-absorbing ancient tree. The wood energy in the ghost tree fragments was too stubborn, and Lu Feng could not absorb it quickly. It took half an hour to absorb a strand the size of a grain of rice. As the number of times he absorbed it increased, the amount of wood energy he absorbed each time also increased. Feeling the growing strength of the dead species, Lu Feng was very pleased and enjoyed it. But it must be said that absorbing wood energy is a very time-consuming job. Fortunately, what Lu Feng lacked the least for the time being was time. While Lu Feng was busy in the underground laboratory, 2 days passed and Baron Andre also returned from the quarry in the Black Rock Mountains. Under the auspices of Baron Andre, the quarry resumed quarrying. Although the villagers were still a little worried, they also worked hard to mine black rocks for their wages with a guarantee of the Baron and the wizard. With more work to do and people being tired, the villagers naturally thought less. The strange black fog will slowly fade away in their lives. When it is mentioned again in the future, it will probably be a legend told to their children. The quarry returned to normal, and batches of black rocks were continuously transported into Kane Manor and piled up on the construction site. The wizard tower that Lu Feng planned to build would cover an area of 10,000 square meters, and the amount of black rock required was an astronomical number. However, Lu Feng still had a lot of magic stones in his hands, and they were countless when converted into gold coins. He didn't have to worry about not being able to pay for the labor and material costs of building the wizard tower. The element pool, secret garden, and protective array that would be built in the tower in the future, which required extraordinary materials, were the bulk of the expenses for the wizard tower. These ordinary materials and labor that could be purchased with gold coins were only a small part of the construction of the wizard tower. What's more, Lu Feng also had his second brother Andre to help him. Don't underestimate the second brother Andre. He accepted some of the advanced ideas that Lu Feng usually proposed. After so many years of development, Hongye Town has slowly changed. Today, Hongye Town is one of the few wealthy places in the Tulip Kingdom. The wealth accumulated in Hongye Castle cannot be spent by the two brothers of the Hall family even if they squander it. Not to mention, the gold coins were spent on the territory of Hongye Town, earned by the people of Hongye Town, and continuously flowed back to the second brother Andre through taxes. The construction of the wizard tower has been underway for nearly a month, and Lu Feng hasn't spent a penny of his money yet. So to speak, Lu Feng also feels like a gigolo. However, there's no need to be too fussy about it between brothers and family. Up to now, the construction of the Wizard Tower has changed from Lu Feng's personal business to a major event for the entire Hongye town. Hongye town needs Lu Feng, and needs a wizard to take charge, like a magic needle that can calm the wind and waves, and bring peace and stability. In addition to cultivating the dead species, Lu Feng also took the time to inspect the construction site of Cane Manor. Accustomed to the speed of building high-rise buildings in a day with spells and puppets in the botanical garden, now returning to his hometown, seeing the slow speed of ordinary people carrying things on their shoulders and hands, it's inevitable that he feels a little uncomfortable. So, Lu Feng found his second brother Andre and proposed, "Second brother, what do you think about us spreading the night breathing method, letting ordinary people practice it, and improving the physical fitness of the civilians in Hongye town?" Andre was frightened by Lu Feng's proposal. You know, in the Tulip Kingdom, and even in the entire Trandy subcontinent, the basis for the long-term rule of the nobles is the night-breathing method. Spreading the night-breathing method is simply digging the roots of the big tree of the aristocracy. As a member of the nobles, Andre naturally understands the power of it. However, as Lu Feng's second brother for so many years, Andre has long known how dangerous his brother's thoughts are, and he has become accustomed to it. "Rester, do you know what the consequences of doing this will be?" Andre asked seriously. When the shocking proposal came out, Andre did not rush to object, but asked Lu Feng for deeper thoughts. "My idea is that the workers work too slowly, and they will be exhausted just carrying a stone weighing more than 100 pounds. It would be great if there was a group of knights to help me with the work. Unfortunately, apart from my subordinates Annie and Houston, there are only you and the cavalry captain in Hongye town, and both of you hold important positions. I can't let the two of you help me build the Wizard Tower. Therefore, I plan to train more knights to help me. As for the trouble of spreading the breathing method, with me in Hongye town, do any nobles dare to cause trouble? There is no need to spread the night's breathing to the entire territory. Can't you recruit some young people and train them in Cane Manor?" Andre made his last effort and persuaded. Lu Feng gave Andre a meaningful look and continued with a smile, "Second brother, do you know what the scene is like in many lands of Trudeau continent? The night-breathing method has been popularized there. Children who have reached the speed to practice it begin to practice the breathing method. After adulthood, most of them are at the night level. If you work or look for a job, you will be rejected if you don't have the strength of a knight. Can you imagine such a scene? But ordinary people there are still ruled by more powerful wizards. And the benefits brought by the popularization of the night-breathing method are a more prosperous scene." Lu Feng described to Andre the benefits of popularizing the night-breathing method, which made Andre blush and his head dizzy. Andre was extremely confident that if he could really develop Hongye town to the level described by his younger brother, then he, Andre, would become the most outstanding red leaf lord in the history of the Hall family. After discussing with his second brother Andre and specifying a detailed plan to popularize the night-breathing method, Lu Feng handed the rest to Andre. Popularizing the breathing method is, after all, a major event involving tens of thousands of residents in Hongye town, and it needs to be done step by step. Only with perseverance can the effect be shown after a long time. After leaving Hongye Castle, Lu Feng did not rush back to the laboratory, but found Annie and asked her to spread the word to recruit people for Cane Manor. The Baron's night breathing is popularized, and Lu Feng also needs to train a group of people with knight's strength to work for him. Whether it is the manpower needed for the maintenance, upkeep, and garrison of the Wizard Tower in the future, or the spiritual realm built by the Earth Immortal method, Lu Feng needs a group of subordinates to help. Annie and Houston alone can't meet Lu Feng's needs. Training subordinates is not something that can be done overnight, and it takes time to accumulate. After receiving Lu Feng's order, Annie immediately made arrangements. After finishing these two things, Lu Feng returned to the underground laboratory and continued to cultivate the dead seeds day and night. 5 days later, Lu Feng's eyes were full of bloodshot, and he was exhausted. After sending a wisp of wood energy into the dead seeds, he finally sensed a different change from the seeds. Crack! A crack appeared on the shell of the dead energy-absorbing ancient tree, and a white root stretched out from it. Second update. 2,500 words. Chapter 50 Rooted in the Black Soil, Spiritual Realm Planning. The seeds germinate, first take root, then sprout. When Lu Feng saw the wide and tender root sticking out after the shell of the dead seed cracked, He knew that his path to earthly immortality was stable. When Lu Feng practiced and nurtured the dead seeds on weekdays, he could feel the vitality in the seeds becoming more and more vigorous, but if the seeds did not germinate for a day, they would still be dead seeds. Sometimes, looking at the seeds that never moved, Lu Feng had doubted himself in his heart, wondering if his risky move had led him to a road of no return, and if he would never see hope in his life. Just like he had wasted decades in the realm of the upper wizard apprentice. Fortunately, Lu Feng finally persisted, paid a lot, and finally got the reward. At this moment, the seed germinated and transformed successfully. Lu Feng, who was closely related to it, was so happy that his face changed. He quickly sat cross-legged beside the experimental table and practiced the exercises. A force was fed back from the seeds of the energy-absorbing ancient tree. The power of the Qingmu Changsheng Sutra in his body grew uncontrollably, and it grew a few points every time it was practiced. Bang, bang, bang. With ease, Lu Feng broke through 4 acupoints of the Qingmu Changsheng Sutra in succession while his magic power was running, reaching 73 acupoints. He broke through his cultivation and reached the realm of a high-grade Taoist child in the world of earthly immortals. Looking inside himself, the 73 acupoints were shining, connecting most of his flesh and blood. An invisible force swept through his body, and the roots of his flesh and blood were being transformed. His mind also had many more insights about the way of plants and trees. When the magic power was turned far away, it also became more round. After digesting the increased magic power, Lu Feng opened his eyes, stood up and moved around, and immediately felt a strong vitality in his body. He picked up the mirror to look at his face. On weekdays, Lu Feng relied on spells and potions to keep his body young. But after all, he was over 50 years old. His face looked young, but a closer look could reveal a little incongruity. But at this moment, under the feedback of the dead energy-absorbing ancient tree, Lu Feng found that he really became younger. The skin on his face was full of vitality, white and shiny. His flesh and blood were also full of vigor, returning to a young state. With this wave of feedback, I feel that it is not a problem for me to live a few decades longer. Lu Feng laughed. Although he could not sense his lifespan with his current cultivation, his instinctive feeling increased a lot. Longer lifespan is naturally better. The longer you live, the more exciting the world will be, and the more opportunities you will encounter. Lu Feng has always been pursuing the way of survival, so the longer the lifespan, the better. After experiencing the changes in his body, Lu Feng returned to the experimental table and looked at the ghost tree fragments and the seeds of the energy-absorbing ancient tree on the table. At first glance, Lu Feng's eyes widened immediately. I don't know when the seeds of the energy-absorbing ancient tree have grown 4 thin roots, and these thin roots have all penetrated into the extremely hard epidermis of the ghost tree fragments. The white jade-like roots are tightly connected to the dark and hideous bark. The seeds of the energy-absorbing ancient tree have taken root in the ghost tree fragments. Is it treating the ghost tree fragments as soil? Will there be any trouble? Lu Feng was surprised and a little worried. In the ghost tree fragments, in addition to the rich wood energy that is useful for the growth and development of seeds, there is also a destructive death force that has accumulated over the years. Will this death force harm the seeds of the energy-absorbing ancient tree? Lu Feng, who was worried about the comfort of his natal spiritual plant, reached out to pull the seeds out of the ghost tree fragments, but the roots of the seeds were firmly rooted in the ghost tree fragments. Lu Feng used all his strength, but he couldn't shake the 5 roots of the energy-absorbing ancient tree seeds. The energy-absorbing ancient tree in the botanical garden has long been extraordinary. Her descendants, even if they have inherited a little bit of characteristics, have surpassed ordinary extraordinary materials with their small roots. Unable to pull down the energy-absorbing ancient tree seeds, Lu Feng could only use his mental power to check the status of the seeds. During Lu Feng's inspection, all the life characteristics of the energy-absorbing ancient tree seed were good. Several roots penetrated into the ghost tree fragments and were slowly absorbing the wood energy and death power from the ghost tree fragments. Lu Feng was a little surprised that the small seed was not afraid of the death power in the ghost tree fragments. However, thinking of the energy-absorbing ancient tree in the botanical garden, he felt that the scene in front of him was very normal. The energy-absorbing ancient tree feeds on energy. The death power is terrifying, but it is also a kind of energy in the final analysis. The seeds can be eaten, which is very reasonable. But you grew on the ghost tree fragments for eating. How can I take it into my body? The seeds are fine, and Lu Feng is relieved. But looking at this huge black wood, another worry came to the door. After the seeds of the energy-absorbing ancient tree are sacrificed and refined into the life-spirit plant of the Kingmu Changsheng Sutra, the seeds are a kind of existence similar to a magic tool and a life magic weapon, which can be taken into Lu Feng's body and placed in the danshan. When the magic power flows, it will also pass through the seeds, nourishing and moisturizing, and cultivating with Lu Feng's life. But after the seed took root on the wood, Lu Feng tried to collect the seed, and he felt a huge force dragging the seed, and he could no longer take it into his body. It is not a big problem to place the spiritual plant that has been cultivated with one's life in the outside world and let it grow. However, Lu Feng, who is cautious by nature, feels that something is wrong. After practicing the Kingmu Changsheng Sutra to this point, he and the seed of the energy-absorbing ancient tree have shared life and death. Leaving the seed outside is equivalent to exposing the weak points, such as the heart and brain, directly to the air for Lu Feng, which is too dangerous. If it is discovered by the enemy or robbed by someone, looking at the lonely seed on the dark wood, Lu Feng frowned and thought about how to deal with it. Black wood, seed. While muttering to himself, Lu Feng circled around the experimental table, and suddenly he caught a glimpse of a green plant planted in a flower pot next to the experimental table. The lush green plant took root in the dark soil and grew quietly. With a flash of inspiration in his mind, Lu Feng quickly approached the experimental table, staring at the seed of the energy-absorbing ancient tree. The wide and tender roots took root in the dark wood. Except that the seeds did not sprout and no green was visible, it was almost exactly the same as the potted plants that Lu Feng had seen. If I use the fragments of the ghost tree as the foundation of the earth and the energy-absorbing ancient tree as the tree that supports the sky, I can create a spiritual realm. Lu Feng's eyes lit up, and the more he thought about it, the more he felt that this was feasible. The way of earthly immortals, before cultivating into a spiritual realm, is pure accumulation of mana. After opening up most of the acupoints in the body and reaching the realm of the upper grade Taoist child, you have to start thinking about building a spiritual realm that belongs to you. Young Master Chu and Monk Hujing are both at this stage. Young Master Chu has gone far, collecting nearly 100 evil spirits, and constructing a ghost spiritual realm. He has already built a prototype of a spiritual realm. As long as he perfects the ghost spiritual realm, operates it as he wishes, and combines it with his body, he can completely achieve the Tao. Monk Hujing walks slowly, and the spiritual realm is only some theoretical knowledge, and has not yet started. At this moment, Lu Feng also has an idea for a spiritual realm. First update. Keep typing. A QQ group has been set up. You can join the group with 1 fan value, find a paragraph and reward 2 Kidian coins. Readers who like this book are welcome to join the group and urge for updates. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.